I think I just messed up my neck right now, just before stream. I don't know how I managed to do this. I don't know how I managed, but I think it keeps happening. Well, well, well. That is not great. Absolutely not. Ow. Ow. Stop it. Why? The back of my neck, between my shoulder blades. Do you know exactly the part I mean? It's horrible. How did I do this to myself? How is this possible? I don't know. I don't want to know. I just... It just keeps happening. It's very strange. It's very odd. I will admit that I was also pretty sleepy early today, so maybe that's why. Ended up putting myself in a strange position. And of course that's not good. Not good for the neck, clearly. And it's fine. I will survive, potentially. And it's only potentially. I guess I'm surviving better than some other people. But then again, that might change. I hope it doesn't. But it might change. I've seen the weather report for next week. It's not looking great. I might become the third world European here. Oh, but what? You know, it's fine. You don't need it when it's not hot. Oh boy. I'm gonna be honest. It's usually not this bad, right? You see temperatures of 35, 40. That's rare. It's very rare to have temperatures that high for so many days. It's not the normal thing. It's an obvious anomaly. And it doesn't come with head travel, clearly. Oh, haven't been drinking too much or what? My goodness. I might have been drinking like a single dad here. Do I have kids yet? What the hell? I think today, and only today, my throat is doing better. Yesterday was pretty bad. I hate getting sores in my throat, but what am I supposed to do? There are things you can do, clearly, when you get sores. They have some sort of special paste you can apply. It's impossible to apply that to my throat. I cannot reach there. I'm gonna barf, or worse. I couldn't even see it on the mirror in the bathroom, okay? It's pretty deep, and that's me assuming it's just a sore and nothing else. It could be something else, but no, please tell me it's not wisdom tooth. No. Oh, hell no. I don't want to open up my jaw, you know? That's not nice. That's not easy. But it might happen. Ugh. Truly disgusting. But speaking of disgusting, speaking of stuff, don't we bring up some music here or what? That could be a good idea. That could be a good idea. I was kind of forgetting about something. It's been happening a lot lately. I think my memory is not doing so great. But it's probably just me. I don't know what's really happening to my brain. It's not the heat. It's not that hot here yet. I cannot give that excuse. Maybe eventually. Maybe this coming week that will happen. But as of right now, I cannot say that. It wouldn't be fair. But speaking of things that are not good, hey, what about YouTube? Yeah, what about YouTube? I'm gonna show you some of my very modest numbers here, but it shows you things are not great on YouTube. How do you fix it? You can't. You can't. Well, you can't. As a content creator, you can potentially fix it. As a YouTube viewer, potentially. I don't want to be that guy that's all the time, oh, but you had to do this and that. There's a reason I'm streaming to 3 different sites, and that's because I want people to choose the site that is better. But this is an ordeal. This is just like gambling at this point. So let me show. This is the stream. just right after it finishes. This was the anniversary stream from the other day. I mean, it was the anniversary, so it did pretty well, as you might expect. You would expect a little bit better. You see some ups and downs. You see a nice peak of 10, which we don't see usually. That's fine. There's the same stream 2 days after. Suddenly, about 30% of the analytics disappeared. Well, that's a little bit odd. How did that happen? Well, allegedly, according to YouTube, they're trying to crack down on unauthentic views. And this is the same stream 4 to 5 days after. Oh. Are you telling me nobody was watching this? I just don't believe you. Because this would imply I was getting likes without people joining, which is absolutely bonkers. So, apparently only about 30% of the views, 30% of the view time is actually authentic on YouTube. That doesn't make any sense. You understand that there might be bots here and there. There might be some strange stuff going on. Sometimes, sure. I'm actually willing to believe that. You cannot tell me it's this bad. You cannot tell me it's this grave. I don't believe it. It doesn't make any sense. So I've been doing some testing recently. And I found out something really funny and extremely disappointing. Most, if not all, of the views that don't count, Google Chrome on PC. If you're using Brave, you count, which I do find really surprising, because you would expect this to be related to ad blocks, but it really isn't. If you're watching on Firefox, you count, which, I mean, makes sense. I don't think Firefox is bad. Though I do have my troubles with Firefox, but that's a completely different fight, for sure. If you're watching on the Android app, you count. I don't know about the iOS, I will assume also yes. I assume they're pretty much the same in that regard. If you're watching on Brave phone, you count. If you're watching on Firefox phone, you count. And the funniest of them all, if you're watching on Google Chrome phone, you also count. So this is a problem exclusive, or dare I say endemic, of Google Chrome on an actual computer. Why is that? How is that possible? I have no idea. It's extremely odd, in my opinion. It doesn't make any sense. But I do believe this could be related to some things that have been changing on Google. I say this is really odd because YouTube is a Google company and Google Chrome is a Google product. So if anything, they should have the highest compatibility. I don't run Google Chrome with ad blockers, by the way. No ad blockers active, no uBlock, no nothing. So this is just plebeian Google Chrome, you still don't count. So it has to be some of the changes they added to Google Chrome recently, which might be something like the change into this manifest they use for the extensions. I don't know why it would affect anything if you're not using Adblock anyway. If anything, you should count more because Adblock now is worse. So it's extremely odd. I've seen some people complaining on Twitter about something that could be related tangentially because they're changing API stuff. Still, very odd. People have been complaining on Twitter because if you try to search for stuff on the GIF machine, nothing works. You get a couple of GIFs that are just bad, and then what you're looking for. Okay, the music is kind of loud. That's a little bit too dark for me. There we go. That's a bit better. That's really strange. If that's the case. Apparently, from what I'm seeing, you see Google changing some sort of API for Kify or something like that? I have no idea. That shouldn't affect directly, but if they're changing API stuff, I guess maybe potentially that could be something that has some effect? Maybe. I'm just saying maybe. Because I don't know better. But this is really strange. We know that most people use Google Chrome because for the longest time it was, I mean, a pretty useful web browser. Nowadays, I would say it's probably just it gets to hell. I cannot recommend Google Chrome in good faith. Not even in bad faith. It would be a really bad joke. So as I keep saying, please stop using Google. Not because of the views here, but there are many weird stuff going around. We can just talk about that right now, because I think it's tangentially related. Yeah, I don't stand Google or just no liars that will keep lying. Even when they tell you, we're not doing this, we're not doing that. Who knows? You have to trust your eyes. It's the only thing you can really trust. And if things are getting worse, yeah, it's usually for a reason. Even if you don't understand the reason, things are obviously getting worse. Stop letting Google take your data. Stop letting Google just dictate what you see and what you do not see. Because that doesn't make any sense. Okay? Just stop it. This is not about Google Chrome and YouTube views. Though I would say is potentially an issue that a lot of people are facing, not just me. It's about privacy, it's about quality, it's about so many things. We don't have to live like this. I think that's the thing for today. We don't have to live like this, okay? We're humans. We're superior beings, allegedly. We had the technology. Things were better before. Why are we suffering like this? Because we can, I guess. Related to this, we also have this thing here. Google's testing a new recaptcha system that asks users to make simple hand gestures in front of their camera instead of solving image puzzles. Surely, when they tell you, we're not saving anything, that is true and fair. Yeah, I just don't believe you. Okay, alright. I hate when Kick does this. Probably one of my issues with Kick. Suddenly you see a message and I'm like, oh, that's about... Hold up. No, that's actually Kick stuff. If your Kick stuff sounds like bots, you might be a little bit in trouble. I get it, I understand, I'm not gonna try to be annoying. But it's Kick. Kick has a lot of problem with bots. I tried to fix it, adding follower only for the chat, which I don't want to do. Because I want people to be able to chat without having to follow. Because we're putting a barrier, which is a bad idea. I want people to be able to interact. But streaming on Kick without followers only is just pretty much impossible. Unless you don't mind having the chat being full of bot spam, which I don't appreciate. But, I mean, Kick bounties if you stream Make a Chameleon, you may win 500 subs. That sounds pretty good. That's not for me. Not for today, clearly. One of these days, I'm gonna be distracted and I'm gonna ban them. It's not on purpose, I promise, but it will happen. Stop sounding like bots, okay? Stop being a bot in my chat. I can't only be the only clanker, pseudo-clanker here. There are actual clankers just because my facade. When you use the browser request camera permission and records a shared video of the user's hands movements. According to Google, it does not record audio until the video after the check is complete. Don't believe them. Every single time. Oh, we are not recording anything. We are not saving anything. Lies. Lies. Just sitting a throng of lies and I'm sick of this. How many times can you mention the T app? That was not Google, but still. Even if they're not saving anything, they're probably using that information for their very dastardly deeds, as some people say. The new method aims to stop bots and AI tools that have become better at solving traditional captchas. By verifying real hand movements, Google hopes to make it harder for automated attacks to create fake accounts or abuse websites. Okay, we could be funny and say, this would be hilarious if we had to do ninjutsu seals like this was Naruto, but it's not gonna be the case. It's not gonna be funny. It's gonna be horrible. And they're gonna steal your data. I mean, it's Google. Google says and gesture verification is an optional feature and will not replace existing image in other challenges. I just don't believe you. I just don't believe you. Remember when people say, there's nothing more permanent than a temporary measure from the government? Well, there's nothing more permanent and pervasive like optional features in Google and just for security. Horrifying. Absolutely horrifying. And of course, I've seen some memes, some tweets about this. With the obvious things you need to ask. Okay, what if I don't have a webcam? Well, I guess you're not going in. Right now they will say, oh, but, I mean, who cares, right? It's just temporary. What's gonna happen when it stops being temporary? Well, you'll have to buy a webcam and dox yourself. No, I don't like it. I mean, of course I have a webcam, right? You can see it here. You can see myself after all. I'm not gonna use it to dox myself. I'd rather to Google myself. In real life! According to Google, it does not record audio and deletes the video after the check is complete. Lomao. They can gather and sell more data about you, but of course, no. Here's mine. Classic. You will end up using AI for this anyway. But saying everything it can see in order to monetize, exploit, and dox you. But of course, there's a related to it here, but by mega privacy? I don't get the level of privacy. Thanks to the website, you now need to open your camera and wave. Yes, Google is testing a new recaptcha that allows you to make hand gestures at your camera instead of clicking traffic lights. I hate these captchas. They barely work. I'm really through with them. I'm way too good at them, so they are marked as mistakes. I hate this. Your browser requires camera access, records a short video of your hand movement, and sends it to Google to verify you're human. There are other ways to do this. They could detect your mouse movements to see normally human movements, but they don't. I wonder why. Well, the thing is, trying to see if you're real or not is just a nice excuse to actually get more information. That's just how it is. You know how it is. It's always the same. Of course, Google says they don't retain any data, but it's also the company who sent its entire business model runs on knowing everything about you, so... Shrug? And don't worry, the normal recaptcha methods are still there. For now. Good reason not to use Google. They're absolute training AI with it. At the very least, yes. And that kinda pisses me off. Once again, I'm not against AI. I think AI is useful, and I think AI has a lot of potential. Why do they have to be so slimy about it? If you're gonna use my stuff to train AI, at least tell me. I'm not even asking you to pay. Even though you probably should, because you're getting the datasets for free, thanks to my existence, but you should at least tell me. I think that's a fair thing to say. I could be asking too much of these companies. Very annoying, very hateful. What happened to Google's motto of don't do evil? What the fuck? Well. Evil... Not doing evil doesn't sell enough. I remember this. This was in other stuff for TVs. McDonald's! Yay! Dan do! No. No. Chance of me buying a webcam for my desktop to participate in this now is 0%. Not alone. I will close your website. I'm not invested in looking at anything. You should be like this. Even though this guy is a socialist. Wasn't there a thing in NT84 where you had to appear on the telescreen to confirm your identity and subordination? I keep telling people, even though I don't think they believe me, this is gonna be worse than China. This is gonna be way worse than China. The UK right now is already worse China. And that's hard to believe, I know, because, come on, what do you mean? Didn't they have a democratic process in the UK? Who the fuck cares? Who the fuck cares? It's about who lobbies the parties anyway. It's about who controls the politicians. So at least, in commie China, the system is honest, because you know, it's a commie hellhole. Well, just don't be there, Lamau. There's also this thing here about YouTube, which I don't know if I agree. Then again, this is just clown world we live in. YouTube settles lawsuit for social media addiction against 15-year-old. You're a minor. Why do you have better access to the internet? What are the parents? What are the parents? Social media addiction. I wouldn't say YouTube is the worst example anyway. I would say both Twitter and TikTok are way worse, for sure. YouTube has settled a lawsuit with a 15-year-old over social media addiction, just weeks before it was set to go to trial. Yeah, they didn't think they could win. That's not great either. Over the past year, a number of social media platforms have been hit with lawsuits revolving around social media addiction. The biggest went around a 20-year-old woman known as KGM. That sounds like a fantasy weapon. Who won $6 million from Meta and Google. 20-year-old settled the suit with other platforms, including Snapchat and TikTok. Just hours before a court hearing was set to take place. Platforms have fought back against the case, which was filed in California, but others have been following its wake. Crasher wake, I bet. I wish I was that guy. He's so cool. That includes one in Florida, where a 15-year-old boy has sued the same platforms over social media addiction, with YouTube and Google settling early on. I'm not trying to defend these big corporations, because I don't think there's anybody that is good here. And this is maybe my hottest take about this. Yes, the companies are bad. Also, yes, the parents are bad. 20-year-old, whatever, you're an adult, allegedly. Sure, it's California, still negative 21, I don't care. I don't care, 18 plus, I think it's good enough. But thinking about an 18-year-old boy. Why do you get whatever access to YouTube and Google? Or to any social media? You're 15, you're a kid, what are the parents? And they keep using these cases to keep pushing for laws that try to crack down on actual privacy. That's my issue. I don't want to say kids on the internet, but that shouldn't be a law thing. That should be the parents not being fucking idiots, which kind of surprises me because most of these parents, I would say, are millennials. How curious. Hey, I'm a millennial. I'm not like this. Well, I don't have kids yet, but I wouldn't be like this. I wouldn't be in constant access to the internet to my kid if I had one. Because it just makes sense. Why would you do that? The internet was bad before, the internet is just in absolute disaster nowadays. Early to mid 2000s? Sure, okay. You need to be careful. Nowadays, absolutely not. Absolutely fucking not. If you're gonna be a shit parent, just don't have kids. It accepts another social media addiction lawsuit. The teenager, who is known only as RKC, sounds like delicious chicken, almost, is similarly alleging the platforms are built to be addictive, keeping us on there for hours on end. Well, yeah. But you can just stop. That is, they are designed for that. I will agree with you. But the content is not good enough for something like that. I'm, if anything, very surprised at the likes of TikTok. Oh, it's so addicting. It's infinite scrolling. Oh, the algorithm is so good. You cannot tell me the content is good. I just don't believe you. I cannot believe the content is that good. There's no way it is. Because it's man-made. Don't you mean woman-made? No. No, I don't. I've seen the kind of content that comes from TikTok. It's probably the worst kind of content I've seen in my entire life. It's not to be hyperbolic. I don't think it's actually that bad. There's nothing good there. Most modern content is just trash. Especially short form. Hilarious. This is more about younger people than me, by the way. Going to the BBC, YouTube settled with the 15-year-old on June 23rd, before the case was set to be heard on July 27th, in California as well. This matter has been amicably resolved, and our focus remains on building age-appropriate products and pulling the control to deliver on that premise. Google spokesman Jose Castaneda said in a statement to the BBC. Parental controls. This parental control is I'm your father, and I say you're grounded. Give me the phone, or else. Parental controls were a thing already when I was young. What do you mean by this? Parental controls are not a special magical tool that's been granted to us by the gods. They have been always a thing. They have always been a thing. Use them properly. Especially on phones. It's really easy. But they don't care. They don't care about their kids. Spreader UT, Los Angeles Superior Court Judge, Caroline Cool. She's not that cool, come on. We'll oversee the trial. Only the second she's dealt with behind the one from KGM, with over 1,000 more cases to be heard. Previously, Instagram boss Adam Mosseri argued that people couldn't have a clinical addiction to the platform, but now that there are cases of problematic use abound. They can have a chemical addiction because, in theory, because you're looking at something, you're not ingesting anything, so you're not ingesting artificial products, let's say. Sure. There are many addictions that are just psychological. This is clearly one of them. I'm sure I said that I'm being addicted to a Netflix show and I binge it really late one night, but I don't think it's the same thing as a clinical addiction. It's the court back in February, I remember reading this. They tried to whistle world the way out of this, but it's just a stupid situation. They're just Dumb and Dumber. Or just dumber and more evil, maybe. It's hard to explain. I don't like this situation because it's just stupid on both sides. Social media platforms are not your friends. They just want clicks, they just want interactions. Because that just means more money in the bank, as usual. But the parents are absolutely horrible. They don't know how to parent, and they cannot be bothered to parent properly. So also, they must be punished. I'm sick of this, man. I'm sick of these people. I'm sick of all these goddamn bananas. And you might be thinking, well, if YouTube is that evil, what about the other sides? Well, what about the other sides? From Zach Boozy. Really funny name. Twitch World ads may now be up to 90 seconds long instead of 30. Mid rolls may now stretch up to 4 minutes, even if the streamer sends them to 3 minutes. They had Twitch support. This used to have a community note that said, this is not real. And there was also a reply by Twitch support that was saying, this is not real. Oh, there we go. And this is inaccurate. We're still working to understand how/why our support team provided these iterations. But we can confirm there are no changes to add additional ads. We're extending the ad pod beyond the critical settings for mid-roll ads or pre-roll ads. Strange. Are you able to provide insight into why people are seeing 3-4 minute outbreaks? That would seem to reflect what your support team is saying. 314, clearly more than 3 minutes. Let me read this first. The feature itself has been around for a couple of years, but the aggressive 4-minute breaks you're seeing right now are a result of newer changes. I see. Well, that's a bit frustrating. Haha. Do you have any more questions I can look into for you today? Does that apply to pre-rolls as well? They were historically always 30 seconds. Might they be longer? Yes, this applies to pre-rolls too. So they may be longer than 30. Is there a max a pre-roll can be now? Usually standard pre-rolls on Twitch were truly 30 seconds long, and as per the new update, they can be much longer, frequently scaling up to 90 seconds. Wow, okay, that's much longer, good to know. That's prohibitive. That's prohibitive. I know I've criticized before many Twitch streamers for saying, but you see, there's nothing I can do about the ads. I just have to run the ads. And that is true. You have to run ads if you're a listing affiliate, which is very easy to achieve. The problem is not the ads, necessarily, which I agree it's a bit annoying. But they will tell you that they have to run 3 minutes of ads per hour. Well, now that's to disable pre-rolls. I'd rather have 30 seconds pre-rolls than 3 minutes of ads per hour. Well, nowadays I don't care about either because I can just use a very special and powerful shield to just avoid them. Let's put it that way. But I would say that 30 seconds for a single stream is usually It would need to be a very short stream for that not to be the case. But it's far less aggressive than 3 minutes per hour. I've also seen people to run 130 per 30 minutes, which is pretty much the same. I've seen some people to do that while also running pre-roll ads, which I don't think that's predatory. That's way too much. That's more than the minimum that you need. But right now, between 90 seconds of pre-rolls and 4 minutes per hour, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you. Sure, 90 seconds is still less, but it's a tall order. If you want new people to get into the stream, if you educate people properly, and people finally understand when you join, you're gonna see ads, but it's only gonna be 30 seconds when you join, I do think people will be more reasonable about it. Okay, it's just 30 seconds. It's just when you join. I'm not gonna lose anything aside from that, which in general will be a net positive. If you just explain that to people, having to wait a minute and a half to trying to watch somebody new, it's insane. It's way too much. It's way too much. That's gonna kill discoverability for smaller streamers, for sure. And make no mistake about it. Make no mistake about it. This is just an excuse, not only to run more ads, which obviously now you're beholden to more ads, but this way people will be more inclined to run 3-4 minutes of ads per hour, so that means more ad money, even for Twitch, and it's just more ads in general, which is also pushing more people to actually buy subscriptions or at least Twitch Turbo to not see any ads. So once again, they're making things worse so you get to pay more. Absolutely wretched, absolutely disgusting, and I'm sick of this. But it will keep happening. This like makes sense with Twitch's recent push to have creators want more ads via email blast. They have more inventory, so they appear to be dynamically scaling ad breaks based on demand. I know they need more money, but if your first instinct is to make the platform wars, yeah, I don't know about that one. No wonder people like Kick, and I don't think Kick has some ads nowadays. I would say in general it's better, aside from the bot problem, but that was also a problem on Twitch before, so there's also that. Polish21 who told me they shortly had 90-second pre-rolls earlier this month, and he said, not possible. Pre-rolls are limited to 30 seconds. Do you like to jump through a mid-roll? Based on the information, it was wrong. Also, I will say something about mid-rolls. Back then, not that long ago, if you joined the stream, you wouldn't get the mid-rolls. If you raided the stream, you wouldn't get the mid-rolls. Now, every single time I'm raiding to the stream, it's always a mid-roll break. Is it just a game of chance, or is there something strange happening? I actually can't tell. Of course I don't see the ads because, well, you know, I deal with some monkey business to avoid them. But they work, thankfully. Support says this is inaccurate, and they're unsure why Twitch support said this. Can someone drop a community note to my post with this contest, please? That's a better option than deleting, as it will inform people that if you engage with a post that has new contest. My future views will be contextualized. Well, that's actually really nice from this guy, because having a community note actually kills monetization. You don't see this a lot. That's great. For this thing, more than 3 minutes, I will also say, 3 minutes per hour is the minimum to disable pre-roll ads. Not just the only amount you can set mid-roll ads. I think you can set up to 6 minutes per hour. Not as bad as TV, but yeah, when TV goes into an ad break, you don't miss anything. So there is a little bit of strange. Let me open this because there's some interesting replies here. My assessment also been hit with 330 ad breaks recently. I did a 345-second ad break about an hour ago and left the stream below. Down below your eyes, blood and trust, big purple. See no evil. I can take a stance to why this might be inaccurate. I was looking into pre-rolls a while ago and noticed that some websites were saying 90 seconds. And we know you probably weren't speaking to a real person. Hey, we will regurgitate info whether it's wrong or right. But shouldn't they limit their information to their website? You would expect as much, but maybe that's a tall order. I also had the same thing happen to one of my viewers. This is inaccurate. 314. A/B testing Lamau, yeah. They should know you didn't post it with some kind of receipts. Look, if you're posting stuff when your receipts are just people told me about this, it's usually not enough. I really hate being that guy, but there are many issues with Twitch, just in general. Other stuff is actually really inconsistent. In this case, it's clearly not because you're watching on phone, which is a completely different issue. But I will say, at least for some time, if you were watching on the phone app, you would get more ads. For no reason whatsoever. Sure, sometimes you get banner ads on the side or below the player, which adds something that appears on the computer. But I was assaulted at some point by mid-rolls while I was watching somebody that I know doesn't have mid-rolls active. So they are trying to push more ads so they get more money, even if they have to lie to you as the content creator, as the viewer, which I think pretty obviously something like that shouldn't be allowed. Not really just the low trust thing, they shouldn't be lying to you about the mechanics, because if you're setting specific ads, it's usually for a reason. I also have to admit, or not admit, I also have to assume that the people that you watch and you get these additional mid-rolls, they don't get any money from those. Well, she didn't say that. Come on, pal. Having a phone app is not really that expensive. You don't incur any additional... You don't need to... Any additional cost for having a phone app, really. Come on now. Come on now. I don't know if that keeps happening right now because I haven't really watched anything on my phone in I don't know how long. Chances are, maybe. I'd rather watch on YouTube instead. YouTube's not the best, but it's way better. Some people on YouTube really make things really difficult for me to watch them when they keep adding mid-roll ads on live streams. Now. YouTube already has banner ads constantly on the sides if you're watching on phone. And just trying to watch something. But I think it becomes really difficult. The loathsome Dunk Eater, that's the name. I kinda forgot it for a second. My bad. We'll see what happens with this. There was a community note, it's not here anymore, I wonder why. It came with the June 24th update and it's also forcing on users on mobile despite subscriptions. Ooh, that's kinda not good. On top of that, I will mention here that not even avoiding ads while you're subbed, it's an opt-in feature. If the channel owner turns that off, yeah, you will still see ads despite being subbed, which I don't think I like either, but that's a different issue. Just to make a proper announcement instead of feigning ignorance. I agree with that. And chat support is fucking pathetic. I think the human agents are using AI nowadays as well. Human agents, Lamau. Yes, outblockers people aggressively. You're encouraging a staging on Firefox. But that will be the downfall of civilization. Prove me wrong. Hint, you can't. It's way too much. It's way too much. And there's only so many times I can mention vtuber and the ads while you're asleep. There's only so many times I can mention Netflix. And they're insanely increases in price for subscriptions. And do you remember when there was a free tier with ads? Yeah, it's like, what, $8 a month nowadays? Cool, I think it's higher than that. Do you remember when Netflix was $5 a month? I think I said a day, I meant a month, of course. $8 a day, my goodness. Yeah, I think right now it's like 22 or 23 bucks a month. Did it get better? No, it didn't. Well, it's rather odd. It is rather odd, but not much you can do about it. They just want money, and they will get the money. By flipping down the people that are still paying. Just sail the 7 seas, come on, it's not that bad. Speaking of sailing, or guessing this case, flying? I think this was really odd. Especially because it's somewhat related to something we read about the other day. Stop Killing Games not doing so great. Yeah, because Guillermo from Ubisoft was talking with different governments and different lobbies, so yeah, no wonder. But we have here from France Info. This is machine translated, so there might be some mistakes. Terminating a passenger plane crashing La Balle. Claude Guillemot, co-founder of Ubisoft, among the victims. This is the brother of the other Guillemot we usually talk about when we mention Ubisoft. They're strange. Guys, the plane still in the field where it fell this Saturday, June 20th in the morning. Just right there. It's just right there. The crash of a tourist plane killed 2 people in La Balle. Claude Guillemot, co-founder of Ubisoft, and owner of the device, is among the victims. A passenger plane crashed Friday afternoon, June 19th, in a field near the airport of La Balle, leaving 2 dead. I'm hoping I'm saying that close to correct. And the firefighters of Loire-Atlantique, upon arrival at this scene, the aircraft was on fire with an ongoing spread to the surrounding vegetation. Connected by Icy Ocean, maybe? Oh, it's not icy because it's French. It's icy, maybe? The mayor of the Ball, Frank Lavre, indicated that it was a Cessna 421, a twin-engine propeller, with 8 blazes, departed from Reims. Okay. Marc Guillemot, co-founder of Ubisoft, has died. One of the victims is Claude Guillemot, co-founder in 1986 with his 4 brothers. 4 brothers, that's crazy, that's a lot of brothers. The company Ubisoft became with the world leaders in the development and distribution of video games. Yeah, look at them right now. Elm Whip. Confirming this information revealed by OS France, Ubisoft said in a statement, "To have learned with deep sadness of the death of Claude Guillemot, co-founder of the group, and president of Guillemot Corporation, in an accident. Our thoughts are with his family and loved ones in this ordeal." Owner of the aircraft, the 69-year-old Breton leader, was expected this weekend at the ball for a gathering of more than 100 planes. I'm not gonna be like, oh, this psyop. Somebody killed the guy because he was getting uppity. This is just about strange politics stuff. I don't think so. I just think it's a very odd accident to have. But I mean, accidents happen all the time. The place has to be rather small, if I'm being honest. So, shrug? Very strange nonetheless. Very strange. I don't have a huge amount of information, but what else is to say here? Unless they get the black box and we get some more strange information, maybe. The guy just died in a plane crash. I just think the timing is off, that's all. Speaking of games, we also have this thing here from Automaton. Japan's government to launch a centralized organization to support the global expansion of games, anime and manga. The Japanese government plans to invest a total of 34 trillion yen in the domestic content industry by the end of 2033. Expedition 2033. Great game. Some people look at this and wonder, or maybe perhaps even complain, oh, see, this is not good. I just don't trust this. They're trying to appeal to the global audience and whatnot. We haven't gone through this yet, so of course I cannot make that assessment. I'm gonna say, probably it's not that. They're probably trying to invest in the industry so it sells more, which would be great for them. That doesn't mean they're trying to change the contents of the products. But if you want to sell more, investing into them makes sense. We'll see about that. I could be wrong. I'd rather not be wrong. Not on this one at least. As reported by Yomiuri Shimbun on June 23rd, the Japanese government has begun preparations to establish a support organization that will serve as the central pillar for promoting the domestic content industry overseas. The government plans to invest a total of 34 trillion yen in both public and private sectors by the end of 2033, aiming to position the content industry as the core of its 17 strategic fields. If they're smart enough, they know they shouldn't change anything about the content. The content's already good, and the content's already selling. You only need to look at the US, especially manga sales versus comic sales. At some point, I don't remember if it was One Piece or Demon Slayer, maybe both. Not the addition of both, but individually, we're selling more in the US than the entire comic industry. It means they're doing something right, and the comic industry is doing something wrong. Japanese anime, manga, and video games have significantly gained in popularity in recent years. In the fiscal year of 2024, overseas sales of Japanese content reached 6.1 trillion yen. The government views the industry as key for Japan's economic success, and its goals to expand the overseas market size through domestic content to 20 trillion yen by 2033. Recently, different government bodies and related organizations like the Ministry of Economy, Trade and Industry, METI, introducing media, completely different anime for sure, having individually making moves towards achieving this move. For example, in October last year, the METI rolled out a new set of policies for supporting domestic creators and the expansion of their IPs to the West. Now there's certainly something wrong. However, according to Yomiuri Shimbun, METI and the Agency of Cultural Affairs have been criticizing Japan for their inefficiency. I mean, it is still the government, so I think that makes sense. Which is what led the government to consider creating a centralized organization for supporting Japanese content overseas. I mean, if it works. Apparently, the new organization will be trying on the model of Korea's Koka. Setsumetsu Koka. I think that's completely wrong. Korea Creative Content Agency. If it was wording a little bit differently, this could be a Twitch mouth for sure. Which helps as the centralized coordination body that handles the content industry, enhancing massive success in the global expansion of K-pop. Sorry about you after all, huh? Now you're my enemy. I'm not a big fan of K-pop. I don't care too much about it. And I do think that the K-pop fans are very annoying. K-pop stands derogatory. It will aim to strengthen international market strategies, build distribution networks necessary for overseas expansions, invest in human resources, and support the production of large-scale works. While Japan has doubled its financial support for the content industry year on year, reaching approximately 58.9 billion yen, Yomiuri Shimbun argues that it still isn't able to compare to investments of its competitors like South Korea and China. China? Pretty big with entertainment nowadays, okay? Is it good? I'm not quite sure, I'm gonna be honest. I don't really partake into China's lapa, but I do believe the games are pretty successful, right? Like Wukong? That makes sense. Back in 2023, South Korea invested about 76.2 billion yen into its content industry, while in 2024 China made a 128.3 billion yen investment. To be fair, China has been growing quite a lot with the economy in recent times, recent meaning 15 to 20 years. Kinda funny how they tell, if communism is that bad, how are they becoming so powerful, huh? Well, they don't have a commie economy, that's why. They have a capitalistic economy, that's why. When they change that, that's when they start to get better and better. That's the fun part. Also, on top of that, I'm not quite sure because I don't know that deep about political systems. But people say, oh yeah, in practice, this is almost a fascist system, like that of Germany in the 30s. You're not making the point you think you're making. I don't think they are either. But that's kinda hilarious. Not a big fan of China still, but I mean, it is a fact they're getting better in the economy game for sure. They're also buying Africa, so yeah. That's just I've seen some memes. But Africa's for the Africans again. They should give the resources. People are like, okay, all right, you decolonize Africa, you give them back the resources. The first thing they do, sell it to China. God fucking damn it, you people! Say what I mean. Say what I mean. Moving forward, the Japanese government plans to announce a massive series of medium to long-term investments, especially for the private sector. The new strategy, set to be determined this summer, will include public and private investments estimated to reach around 24.5 trillion yen for the video game industry. 3.3 trillion yen for the anime industry, 1.6 trillion yen for the manga industry, and 3 trillion yen for the music industry by fiscal year 2033. We also have to mention that Japan's economy is completely fucked. It got fucked in the 80s and it never really recovered. It's not doing so great anymore either. It was okay-ish for a little bit a while back. It's back to being completely fucked. It's great if you're going to Japan. It's great if you're buying from Japan. If you're Japanese, it's not that good. So, yeah, it's a modest investment compared to Korea and China, but an important one nonetheless. Don't think it's gonna fix their economy, but it might make it better, which, hey, we like Japan. Similarly, the government displays the economic ripple effects related to Japan's content industry to reach a total of 326 trillion yen by the end of the same year, which is a huge amount of money. We'll see about that. That would be cool to see. We don't really see anything here that mentions. Wow, it's gonna change the count. It's gonna be so bad. It's gonna be so politicized. I don't think so. I don't think so. They understand what they do is working, and if they keep doing that, hey, that's pretty good. That would probably work. Good job, Japan. Good job. We'll see. We'll see. More games for Japan. I approve. I like. What do we have here? What was this? Oh yeah, there was something really strange I got on Twitter a couple of days ago. I think it's a little bit strange. I think it's properly explained, but I think it's kind of funny. Not so much games, but games and AI stuff. The Microsoft researcher built a gold-powered LLM in Age of Empires 2 to prove it's not sentient. Not so much in LLM, I don't think. I do believe it's supposed to be... hold up. It's supposed to be... Simple Perception Neural Network. Not working LLM. So, it's not quite correct what they're saying here. But I think it's probably gonna be an interesting read nonetheless. I was looking at the tweet. What does it mean when something is sentient? It's a debate that has raged for years, and it's not something I can really squeeze into this article. What I can say, however, is that the creation and distribution of LLMs have added another area of discourse to the plot. When you ask Gemini a question about how to cook a chicken, or you seek Club and your coding project, are you using a program or a person? A program, by definition. It's... Sure, it looks human, but it's an algorithm using human speech to give an answer to the prompt. It's not that deep. I don't think it's that deep, but then again, I just think the average person, now consider half of the population is gonna be worse than that. Well, one researcher has an answer for you. They have revealed how an LLM works using nothing but goats in the game Age of Empires 2, and that's part of the challenge. If you think an LLM is sentient, then so is the video game. This is really comparable. We'll have to see how in depth they go into the experiment, for sure. A researcher reduced an LLM to goats in Age of Empires 2. It makes some compelling arguments against calling one sentient. Okay, we have some room here for radioactivities. As spotted by 404 Media, researcher Adrian the Winter of Microsoft and the University of York, I guess this is all York, had an axe to grind. It's gonna ask me a question at this rate. I'm a little bit scared. People were interfacing with LLMs for the first time in human history, and because of how the LLM speaks and interacts with them, they naturally anthropomorphize it, that the LLM is no longer a system in people's minds. They're almost like a person, and such, aren't as understood as they should be. I know I said this before, but when you see a lot of people, normies, or even Richard Dawkins, okay? I do think Richard Dawkins is a little bit of a normie and a little bit of a redditor, despite his career. Their interactions with LLMs, they try to convince me the LLMs are sentient. No. They're actually convincing me these people are not sentient. It's having the opposite effect. I wonder if I'm right or wrong with this one. I'm actually not sure. In his paper, if LLMs have human life attributes, then so does Age of Empires 2. Here's to strip away the anthropomorphic layer of LLMs by showing how he made an LLM using Age of Empires 2's scenario editor to create NAND gates and goals. Oh, that makes sense. You didn't have to do anything that obtuse in my opinion, but I guess it works. So you're just using logic gates. You can have used Terraria for that. They have actually implemented logical gates for contraptions. I think they're also in Minecraft for school, something like that. Haven't tried that, as you might expect. With this, Winterthing argues that if you can build an LLM using assets in a video game or Lego bricks, or when people in Greater Boston working together. People working together, yeah, good luck with that one. The LLM is in human line by default. Instead, it's part of the presentation of the LLM. I understand the point he's trying to make, and I actually think he's correct. But his way of explaining it is probably the worst thing of all this. As we've mentioned before, the interfacing part of the LLM, how you interact with these AI agents, feels really human, but that's because the machine is copying human speech to talk to a human, which makes sense. But you see these normies looking at this, they're like a dog, looking at the reflection in a mirror, thinking there's another dog. No. It's a polished surface. It's not another dog. It's not another dimension. It's a reflection. And I had to mention, I don't remember the name of the channel. It's a video watched many years ago. It's something like Awesome Science, something like that. I don't remember. The YouTuber is, because I think he's not retired, a science guy with long hair and a beard. He's a little bit smarmy, in my opinion. I didn't like his analysis of Dragon Ball. But they're not actual auras, you fool. You fool, you're completely misrepresenting what's happening with the auras. They're literally burning energy. They're the type of energy we have here, allegedly, but that's a different issue. And he actually did this. He pretty much did this experiment, but not with goats in Age of Empires 2. He recreated... It was not called an LLM, it was called some sort of complex algorithm, I suppose. It's a Magic deck. Magic the Gathering deck. Of course you shouldn't use it for competitive play, but in theory, you can make it work as a logical machine, because you can actually replicate logic gates with card effects. There are enough cards with enough effects to actually replicate it, which is really funny to me. TLDR, it's just a clacker, it's not a dip. It's just ones and zeros, it's just energy going through the wire or not going through the wire. I know that might sound really disappointing for some people, but that's how it is. I guess some people could get maybe a little bit too smarmy and intellectual with me. Actually, isn't that just neurons in the brain? I don't know. Maybe? I guess. Sure, that makes sense. Are you actually sentient or not? I don't think the magic cards are. I don't think most players are. Yeah, maybe players are, but I don't think most people that buy the cards are, but it's different, right? Instead for someone to look at the chat window, seeing a speaking to them in a human tone, and anthropomorphize it. But as soon as you remove that layer, and all you're left with is looking at the gold, citing as NAND gates, the illusion falls apart. Yeah, that's a leap in logic. Not entirely wrong, but you're missing some stuff for sure. I think I will be stretching a lot today. Ow, my neck is still hurting. We argue that many anthropomorphic measurements in AI are measurements of presentation, rather than a financial system's behavior. Moreover, these measurements are irrespective of their quality of being real. Indeed, attributes such as persuasiveness and self-consistency are objectively measurable, but from our work, it follows that this cannot imply real or simulative behavior under this setup. Want to read more about the God's work and watch them scan around, be sure to head over to Agent the Winter's blog for all the details. God fucking damn it. Okay, alright. Let's see here, how long is this? I guess they're just splitting the NAND gates. Guess to the paper, read the paper, let's see. Gonna reject. Okay, that's kinda long. That's kinda long. But sure, what about the paper? Oh yeah, I'm not downloading the paper, absolutely not. Cornell University? Wow, that guy's so smart then. I didn't know Cornell had a university. Castlevania Cornell for sure. Let's take a look at this then. Gonna be long, so let us buckle up. Fellow lambs have human-like attributes, then so does Age of Empires 2. Apologies for the tacky AI generated image, but otherwise somebody's gonna read this. What image? I don't see it. I mean, the rabbit here, but I don't think so. That's just the icon for the Substack. Would you believe ChatGPT if it tells you, I know how you feel, if instead of a chat paying, it's a bunch of gold for Age of Empires 2? Okay, alright. I'm gonna be that guy. Who is more trustworthy? ChatGPT? Or video game goats? I have to go with the goats here. Gonna be honest. What about the many undergraduate students walking to 77 mass aid carrying a piece of paper symbolizing a word? The things of this post and the paper is twofold. Assuming human-like attributes and measuring them is only measuring the representation. Chat paying / gods / undergrads. Are undergraduates in MIT actually human? The question still needs to be answered. These sessions lead to wrong results no matter the conclusion you draw. Or show you that if you make a statement of generality of human-like attributes, such as LMs have anxiety or LMs do not have theory of mind, and then set up an experiment to prove / disprove this, you'll be wrong regardless of the outcome. Well, no, I don't think that is true. If we say they do not have a theory of mind, that is correct, because they don't have an actual mind. Because it's not an actual brain, they kinda have those attributes, and because they're not alive, first of all. They're lacking the body parts for those. Here's a synthesized version of my paper of the same title. I'm writing this because the argument, which is in the abstract, tends to be overlooked in favor of assumptions around consciousness, which I don't make directly, or the interpretation and representation trade-off I mention because of fallacies. It does, but it's not the core aspect of the work. But I'm writing only about Age of Empires 2. I mean, the goats are cool. You can see we calculated the output, then you think the thing is lying. Many people do. But the paper is fucking stupid. Okay, alright. I mean, you're not arguing my paper might be stupid. I think it's not, but others might disagree. But I am arguing that this is not the point of the paper, lol. Still, fascinating thing if this is how authoritative facial this text sounds. Even though we don't know anything about this person's rationale to say this. Most like LLM sound, this precisely what we are discussing in this work, ironically. Here we will go over a tiny bit of background because it is objectively really cool. Computational theories of mind. We'll talk about the neural network, which is probably why you're here, but I warn you. It's just a means to an end. And then the core argument. Also briefly cover objections and responses, some of which aren't in the paper. Now, there's a word paper. It has scientific rigor, with stats and proofs for all arguments, including the human-like stuff. Also follows both the usual structure a standard scientific paper has. It also draws and bases itself on known concepts from philosophy. The way it covers objections responses like philosophy papers do. That's why, example given, Stroll's paper on the Chinese room is so long. Chinese room? What the hell? I don't know about that one. Can't have a video, we're not watching the video. In TVC. Just to be clear, I'm not arguing in favor or against the existence of these attributes. I'm also not discussing consciousness because that's not well-defined and scientific measurement yet. What I'm saying is, some anthropomorphic measurements cannot be trusted, here's why. Okay, that's fair. When I say LLMs, I mean LLMs and LLM-powered agentic workflows, but low-key... Oh my god, is this actually a vtuber? My goodness, this is dire! What I mean is, any entity which you are trying to measure and don't know anything about, like AI. GPT ever since I started telling him about my personal problems. Okay, that's a good meme. Background. Why? There's three things that you should know about for this discussion. And again, for sources, look at the paper. Anthropomorphism, theories of mind and measurement. Anthropomorphism is something that humans naturally do. We just can't stop it, and it makes sense. There's this entity in front of you. With two bright dots evenly spaced, and just zoom these are eyes. Maybe they glow more or less, and oh no, it responds! Maybe the machine hums and can sound dejected or happy. It matters that these are all attributes, not necessarily only human, which you ascribe to the machine when you absorb its gaze, as it manifests in the substrate. Are you gonna speak German to me now? Stop it. Geist means, in here, something like spirit, but you can translate it as the geist of it, for the purposes of this read. The substrate is just the medium through which it arises. I do that a lot with LLMs, but LLMs are really weird. They sound human but don't have a face, they don't have a body. They recognize their non-humanity, yet they respond in natural language to what you want. They respond to your intentions. Well, that's pretty obvious, right? If you're interfacing human-machine, you need the machine to be easily understood by the human. That's why it uses human language. That's the obvious response. Is that the case? I guess. There's also something less nice, but probably as utilitarian, which is the LM is scraping a lot of information from the internet. Who uses the internet? People. People write like people. So the machine learns or uses people's speech for people. It just makes sense. But we still anthropomorphize them. People consider them cancerous, friends, say, please and thank you. Problems when this becomes really pathological. People have killed themselves because of this. Oh, I have covered many of those. Don't like any of it, but still. This is an extremely serious problem. Often brought about by the need of explicitly infuse these models with the personality by the users and their makers. It also happens in research. A quick and dirty survey I made on a subset of papers between 2024 and 2026 showed that out of these 350, 56% started with some sort of anthropomorphic assumption. 47 papers made to the center of study, and out of these, 30 included their existence. So the point of this work is to argue this assumption is wrong. Theories of mind. Here we will seriously gloss over them. I think they're very cool, but we only need them for one aspect of the work. That we don't care which one you pick. The experiment will still be wrong if you assume these attributes. The most well-known theory of mind is the set-off computational theory of minds, or CTM. The classical CTM is the one that says that the human brain is a true machine. You've probably heard of it. If you're curious, check out the paper and the references there. Okay, but is that true for every single human brain? I'm not so sure. I should know more about the true machine, but I actually don't. Not an engineer, as I mentioned. Now, classical CTM was spicy fast, and there were a lot of objections. See? That's why we do the objections bit in the paper. Reflect the various developments. Some of these, which you might have heard of, are two implementation game, source chain neutral argument, CRA, and blockchain brain experiment. Blocks China brain experiment. Chain? I guess close enough. CBE. The teaching game was meant to answer machines think, not anything else. CRA and CBE were regions of CTM and functionalism overall. That is, the mind states are casual relations. CTM and friends are a subset of functionalism. We don't need to see all of the memes. We can just gloss over them a little bit. I will not go into details on this, but do note that CRA and CBE focus strongly on determining whether there exists a mind and construct. We are looking for a mind. Is it even defined? But instead, basic facets like morality or empathy. Now that this immediately changes the experiment on CRA/CBE, since arguably these facets are easy to define and measure. We'll see what they want. I think the best addition to some CTMs was by Searle, and later put them the triviality objection. Almost anything can be true and complete, so why should we care? I guess that's a good point. Pseudo-philosophy for nerds. Kinda hate that, it's like Schrödinger's cat. The standard answer to that from CTMists is it's not the power of the system, but the implementation, which might not be trivial. The key bit here is implementation. To experimentally prove or refute CRA or CBE, which are scientists here, so we need proof. planning to build something like that. Do keep in mind that, for all intents and purposes, LLMs have passed the limitation game empirically. The other two are up in the air. Anyhow, ZTM is a set. There are various mini ZTM spin-offs, including Connectionism, which is the hot new one and very closely related to deep learning. This one is the one that people keep pointing at and stating emerges as content for the paper, even though we are looking for that. There are also non-CTM/hybrid frameworks like embodied cognition. The paper has more, it's not really out there, so check it out. Because I love the works and ideas there, we're not covering the paper. I think that's way beyond the scope of things. The point there is that there are many perspectives, frameworks explaining where, how, and whether the mind exists/emerges. Hence, if you're trying to measure human likeness, there's some framework you subscribe to when you design experiments around human-like attributes in LLMs. The de facto assumption is some form of CTM, since, you know, LLMs are in a computer, even when you do not know the validity of it. The complication of a thought experiment is its implementation, not its implication. But the implementation does require measurement procedure to empirically provide strong evidence of its validity. You will see a lot of complex speech here, which makes sense. We're doing with a bunch of nerd shit, so just checks out. So bear with me a little bit more. We are... Fuck are we? Okay, we're about a third in. It's pretty long. And just to repeat myself, we are looking for mind or consciousness. And you have a strict measurement criterion, which leads me to measurement. It's also spicy and very abstract, and we only glossed over it in the paper because it is mostly meant to illustrate where did their arguments come from. The number one thing to know is that measurement in science is typically seen as theory defeating another theory, as per Popper. How this defeat is defined, and whether the theory is true, or how to pick it, are the subject of an enormous body of work. Here what we need to emphasize, when you have a hypothesis about something, you find experiments to confirm or invalidate the hypothesis itself, but a well-known objection to Popper's work is the "do him queen thesis," which most of this stuff I don't know anything about, so I'm not really commenting anything here, which says that a negative outcome cannot be proven to be positive if you measure the converse. Yeah, I guess so. First, normal people dismiss the deception. VVP is false. Oh, minus P. The opposite of minus P will be P. That's just the assumption of the excluded middle. You cannot assume that because something is false, its converse, it's necessarily true. If P is false, it will be sad. I do not wish to be sad, therefore, P is true. There, now you can skip 99% of philosophical debates. I guess that makes sense. Once again, pseudo-philosophy. The final aspect to know about is the work by Van Fresen, who posed that instead of pursuing the truth, we should be pragmatic and simply fit explanations. I can agree to that. A neural network in Age of Empires 2 and why. This incident will be quick with this because of claims of LLMs being somehow unique, giving them names and personalities, because the triviality arguments against CTM, which could come and bite us in the ass if we don't frame it well, and because it helps us drive the point of the paper. Functional completeness. First off, we need to show that you could implement any neural network in some Age of Empires 2. You don't even need to train it, that's just a flex to show that Age of Empires 2 is a sufficiently powerful substrate. So, for this you can either show that it is true and complete, it is as per the paper, or functionally complete, it is also that. Either would work, but functional completeness is easy to work with since we are building a literal circuit. To prove it, I just built the win and gate, which forms a functionally complete basis, and thus you can build any circuit in game. Just logic gates. I don't think I need to explain them. I hope I don't. The way this works is by sending code bits. Press 0, row this 1, and nice for concurrency, helpful later. When the eyes go to wrong position, the gate checks for inputs and fires. Technically, the gate above is saying AND, everything in the bottom, and a NOT, which is also by definition a functionally complete basis. Now, it is cool that AOE2 is functionally /true incomplete, but, as I noted in the paper, this is more helpful to drive home the midpoint we work here. This is because you don't need string completeness, like your laptop isn't string complete and can run an SLM. Small language model, I guess. In fact, formally, you don't need a slightly more powerful language to model another language. Isn't that what programming is about, really? And compiling? I think so. Empirically, f/tc is overkill, but from a formal perspective, this also kills the maybe this is sufficiently comprehended that blah blah counterargument. A perceptron. Now, as I said, this paper isn't about AOA 2, but still, everything operational is perceptron in all time in neural network. In AOA 2, this indicates as this neural editor. Here it is. We have a show gif of the goats moving and doing things. Instead, the LDS-11 also wrote the perception training circuit, because the perceptron looked quite scrawny. Really, I knew someone would complain that this isn't enough, lol. Anyhow, some human-like measurements are flawed. Right, so here's the gist of it. LMs are non-unique. Having a neural network in AOA 2, or any other substrate really, says that your behavior is the same, as in your response to the prompts will be the same, but might be slow and hard to read, or made of goats. 2D/3D goats. So a lot of things you interpret have to do with the system, not with the LLM itself. So LLM attributes are non-unique. And as a shorthand, you say LLMs are non-unique for Theseus reasons. Holy shit, what a word! Don't do that ever to me again. I'm gonna choke and die. Which means that to measure these properties, their substrate invariant, you need more careful, systematic measurements process. Encore! What shows that if you make a statement of in generality of human-like attributes, such as LMs have anxiety or LMs do not have theory of mind, and then set up an experiment to prove precisely through this, you'll be wrong regardless of the outcome. Okay, we read that before. But LMs cannot be measured, you assume generalized human-like attributes. There's the fun part. Suppose you assume that CTM is correct. It can be any framework, not even just CTM, you'll see. It just means, just describe to the idea that such attributes could exist in the system, in a manner described by your chosen CTM. That means your hypothesis assumes that human-like attributes do exist in the system. So what do? You set up an experiment, in some entity to measure them, to prove that they exist. There are two outcomes. The experiment succeeds or fails. If it succeeds, a positive outcome, the hypothesis is confirmed. Yay! If it fails, negative, then you could say, for now, that is rejected. But your positive experiment basing a hypothesis based on an assumption is confirming the assumption on which the hypothesis is based by confirming the hypothesis. So it is a circular argument. Alternatively, positive data does not necessarily confirm the hypothesis. And it does not confirm it at all if the assumption hypothesis pair is the same. LOL, I mean, yeah. Your negative experiment outcomes are more interesting. So your experiment for rejecting the hypothesis by providing evidence against the hypothesis, right? Proof by contradiction and so on. Objectively, logically, formally, this is correct. Facts defeat the hypothesis. But the real question is why? There are three likely possibilities. Your experiment is wrong, your hypothesis is wrong, you'd want this one, and both are wrong. Here's useless to scientists because it doesn't say anything, but turns out that you cannot distinguish between the experiments and the hypothesis correctness without some independent variable which you can control. Since your hypothesis is based on the assumption, there's no independent variable. We'll get to testing multiple hypotheses in a second. The point is that since you can discern 1 and 2, your results are uninformative. They could be right, there's just no way of knowing. The clowns remarked that if you were to instead reject CTM and the symmetrics do not exist in the system, you'll get the same symmetric outcome. He also noticed that the CTM did not impact whatsoever the results, despite it is independent of the choice of the framework. This also feels a lot like theory about these experiments, and not much else, I'm gonna be honest. So this is actually being not that useful for us. A bit of a shame. How much I think I'll be done? Even when science doesn't work like that. Now, when scientists is diligent and there's multiple hypotheses and experiments, HE, if all HE are positive, you have a circular argument. Even better, it begs the question. Same for the negative outcomes. Hold up. Oh. Stretch. If some aren't, then you have a contradictory hypothesis in the system. Now, this is not so bad actually. This means that you can draw conclusions from it, it's just that the conclusions are not generalizable. That's why I was saying, just go for the null assumption. Factor in non-uniqueness. Do not assume any other attribute in the system, and the measure include behaviorally. Easy peasy. Yeah, I don't think you're needing just a paper for this. I don't think you're needing an experiment for this. Because this is obvious. Oh, they're saying no, they're not. Obviously, if you take away the presentation, which is what this guy is doing pretty much, what do you have? An electrical machine. And that's it. It's like tearing off the face from the Terminator. Oh, it was a clanker all along. Yeah. But it's interfacing as a human. I don't know. I think this is maybe trying to go a little bit overboard, but not actually that useful. Your point is that you had to stick to the scientific method, but the assumptions need to be robust and the conclusions must be measured. Pun intended. I think this guy is just rebuilding LMs from first principles. So instead of understanding the proper evolution of LMs and saying obvious things, like yes, the machine is still a machine, which it's so obvious I shouldn't have to say it. It's trying to show you how a complex LM is just the same as simple electric circuit. But that's obvious, right? It should be obvious. A computer is complex, but it's just electricity. It's just ones and zeros. Is the electricity going in or not? And that's it. If anything, it would be much more interesting if you could replicate something like that, not in machines, but in humans. Maybe people will finally understand that humans are not real. Okay. Isn't this the same thing? The computer lambda runs on a computer too? Okay, that's straight. Let's give a little bit for the objections. The team or whatever is not done to the valid slash invalid. The names could present as property slash other emergent properties which we don't know yet how to measure, etc. I was looking at something through the window. We got distracted. Yeah, the truth is the triviality because it follows that no attribute may be measured in any substrate. Okay, that's useless. We can come up with the checklist of what it means to have these attributes. Yes, and really the best way to solve this. We have a widely accepted checklist, and it's a matter of measurement. However, this merely makes it out of the scope for more work. Set and CTM say, and hence the attribute says equals accept checklist. If the attribute exists is true, but reject CTM, and hence the attribute does not exist, equals reject checklist. Oh my god, man. People running in their 40s just wearing the same caps as teenagers. Drives me nuts. Red checklist and hence the attribute is not true. Mechanistic analysis could work here, but just for scope of functionalism slash materialism, plus the changes from argument. What is the point of ME2 being MC slash DC slash it's gaming slash NAND doesn't mean anything? But the paper's fucking stupid, bro. Why? I would say it's a little bit stupid. I think the idea is interesting, but it's not as useful as it might seem. Because you're trying to explain something way too obvious. You're trying to explain that the complex electrical machine is still an electrical machine. Well, yes. Yes, it is. What? A little bit disappointed by this, I'm gonna be honest. I thought it would be much more interesting, but no. That's okay though, that's okay. It's fine, it didn't waste as much time as this man. It was kind of viral, so maybe that was actually useful. Ugh. Yeah, here's a novel idea. Can you replicate a human brain doing something like this? Maybe it is way too complex. So there's that. Anyway, that kinda fried my brain a little bit. But yes, if something is just an electrical machine, or electronic machine, however you want to call it, it just goes back to logical gates. It's that easy. Is recreating LLM in Minecraft? Why not? You can do it, in theory. It's gonna be massive, but you can do it. What do we have here? I guess that's kind of related to strange stuff, so we can cover it now. A left-leaning Wikipedia blocked founder from it inside after he campaigned to make it more balanced. Balanced? Absolutely not. Kinda funny. Left-leaning website Wikipedia took the drastic action of blocking one of its founders from editing pages on Monday, after he had campaigned to make it more balanced and fair. And people will try to tell you, hey, but Wikipedia is not cooked, it's fair and balanced. You really think it's propagandistic? Yes, by the wrong admission it is. This month, Larry Sanger launched Wikipride Intellectual Diversity, a group designed to help reinforce the encyclopedia's original, firm commitment to intellectual diversity. I thought diversity was our strength. What is going on here? By emphasizing neutrality and transparency. However, Sanger, who coined the name Wikipedia, entrusted the site's foundational set of rules and guidelines. I'm strong with so many words today. Unless the site alongside Jimmy Wales in 2001 was indefinitely blocked from editing, demonstrating the action the site can take against the editor. I am flabbergasted, Sanger told about. Since the decision was made by a group of the site's volunteer editors. Volunteer editors, by the way. They're controlling the asylum. He described the modern Wikipedia community as being like a mob or a blob, noting users do not feel obligated to a specific version of the rules, but rather to each other. They're constantly trying to gauge what other people think, and this is the way ultimately these people are able to influence each other. Sanger said, even a lot of the hard and fast policies are regarded as just guidelines if everybody is on board. What do we call this? Mob rule. Good job. Good fucking job, pal. That's why you shouldn't let people control your projects if you can avoid it. Might be too late for this man. Well, rest in peace. Sanger became popular among the site's most prolific editors for making public calls for those whose viewpoints have typically being underrepresented. He enters prominently, but also, most importantly, American conservatives, to be more involved. The exact reason for this blocking was not given. Very odd combination here. Two strange worlds collide. I guess that can happen. Wikipedia makes a lot of noise about how its content is created by volunteer users, citing a figure of 267,000 people contributing or editing over the last 30 days on its website. Which is actually kinda bad idea, because anybody can just change potentially anything. I've seen that in real life. I've seen that in real time. Not really rigorous, I'm afraid. But then again, not surprising. It's Wikipedia. However, Sanger has long argued that real power rests with a small, largely anonymous class of Wikipedia administrators. He has in defense been just 62 accounts, which he calls the Power 62, of which 85% had behind their screen names and had never revealed their true identities. As they should, honestly, but maybe don't allow that to happen in your website. For Sanger, the success of the blog highlights a glaring lack of procedural fairness. There's no the process, he argued. People are being blocked, in other words, disciplined, and yet there's no respect for certain expectations that any other serious disciplinary procedure would be held to. Adding the path from arbitration to being judged by a faceless mob. Literally what it said. With the absence of basic structural safeguards like a distinct prosecutor, jury, or opportunity to mount a formal defense. Why do that? They are the rulers of reality. And you had them to be wrong. Therefore, you had to be blocked. They would do more to you if they could, to be fair. The making the fact he had been blocked public against this Monday, Sanger's account was reinstated. Some editors had interjected with questions about the appropriateness of the block decision against Sanger, arguing it was hastily implemented. The campaign to ask him was instigated by one of the most combative editors on the platform, who has with the handle Tarnished Path. Isn't that an ironic name? This inventor was the driving force behind one of the most controversial maneuvers in Wikipedia's recent history. A 12-month moratorium that throws the leader side's Zionism article, logging a sentence that critics and this report in Tablet magazine have documented as effectively equating the movement for Jewish self-determination with ethnic cleansing. Look, gotta be honest, thing with the Middle East, kinda fucking rough, kinda fucking difficult. I don't gonna give my opinion. I just don't care who wins. I think both sides are my enemies. But I will also say, it was Bibi Netanyahu who compared himself to Hitler the other day. He was actually losing the comparison, so make of that what you will. Tarnished Path has been extremely active in gender issues on Wikipedia. Why am I not surprised? Pushing is wrong to have J.K. Rowling labeled anti-trans or transsexual exclusionary radical feminist. The editor eventually placed a banner on Rowling's entry alleging it expressed a non-neutral point of view. It should be referred to as having anti-trans or TERF views, the editor wrote last June. You are not being objective. You are not being objective. Okay? You're being a propaganda mouthpiece. That's the problem. If you cannot be unbiased, shut the fuck up. Get the hell out. Just that easy. The editor wrote in 2023 of people who sought to lend credence to the idea that the theory that COVID-19 originated in the Wuhan Institute of Virology. They may have a political smear they wish to push, but anyone who knows what the terms properly mean can't say that the lab leak conspiracy is a scientific theory with any sort of integrity. So, you can propagandize, but nobody else can. On top of that, it's actually true. It's actually true. It was admitted to us a little bit. Thank you, Fauci. Very cool. Just weeks ago, Wikipedia song administrators banned Tarnished Path from anything in the entire Israel-Palestine subject area on account of the editor's problematic behavior. You can have those guys! Ban them! Fuck them all! This didn't stop the anonymous editor from playing a key role in the Bang of Sanger, indicating the kind of Palestine tree that Sanger has critiqued as being detrimental to the open exchange of ideas on Wikipedia. Yes, I have Chinese actors, apparently, on Wikipedia, changing stuff, so there's also that. Wikipedia has become an intense scrutiny for left-wing bias, including a successful effort to brand Donald Trump as a fascist and authoritarian. If he is a fascist and authoritarian, boy oh boy, you haven't seen anything yet. The site not only uses a list of reliable sources whose reporting can be cited as fact. I don't agree with those, because they usually lie a lot too, and they use each other as sourcing, so they can just try to push something that's fake as true, and people will believe it. While mainstream media outlets like CNN, New York Times, NBC, and BBC are most universally rated screen for generally reliable, conservative outlets, including Fox News, Newsmax, and Federalist, are rated red for generally unreliable. Rated lower than even Chinese state media outlet China Daily, which has a rating of yellow for sometimes reliable. And people will tell you, but this is not political. This is just fair and unbiased. Shut the fuck up and go eat a dick. My goodness. Justifying the ban against Sanger, editors categorize Sanger's recent efforts, most notably his intellectual diversity project, as canvassing. Wikipedia policy describes canvassing as alerting on the editors on the site about editorial activity, with the intention of influencing the outcome of the discussion in a particular way. Can't have discussions anymore, because of course ideas will sprout and some people will disagree. Therefore, discussion is not allowed. Good fucking job. Good fucking job. Sanger strongly pushed back against the canvassing charges, saying the people who found fault with that pointed to the fact that he was recruiting for a print that, in their opinion, is in line with the radical right wing, which is absolutely absurd. Sanger explained, "You're not to the left of Mao. You're authoritarian now." You're the far alt-right. There's nothing you can do about it. However, the first sentence of the same policy specifies that it is perfectly acceptable to notify other editors of ongoing discussions, provided it be done with the intent to improve the quality of the discussion by broadening participation to more fully achieve consensus. How is that wrong? Sanger has returned to being active on Wikipedia in recent months after a long hiatus. Last September, he published his 9th thesis, a set of essays demanding a top-to-bottom overhaul of the site. The artist has been captured by a globalist, academic, secular, and progressive, or GASP, worldview. Yeah, they're not gonna change their view about you, not with this. Ironically, the 8th of Sanger's 9th thesis called for an end to the practice of indefinite blocking, which the co-founder called draconian. No, I think some people should be just banned. But it's not this man. I would say it's mainly these insane lunatics. They have this power of 62. Now that is the power of many for sure. Sanger's return to active engagement had already thrown the site into turmoil. In November, Sanger's decision to weigh in on the gas genocide entry was the most contentious on the site, threw Wikipedia into what it was called pandemonium. After Wikipedia's other co-founder, Jimmy Wales, went to the talk page of the same entry with a heavy critique. Reacting to his former partner stepping in to defend him, Sanger expressed appreciation, but remained fatalistic about his standing on the site. It's so interesting that Jimmy has come out and defended me, Sanger noted, but I have a feeling he's going to be very successful, and that I'm going to be permanently banned. I think it's ultimately going to make any difference. Well. The gift of eyesight. Sanger left Wikipedia in 2002, and Wells has largely erased any mention of him as co-founder. Hey, you shouldn't be able to do that. That's not true. Well, stormed out of a podcast interview last November when asked about whether he was the sole founder of Wikipedia. Then the host, "It's stupid. Don't ask me stupid questions." Oh, brother. How about that? He opened Wikipedia long ago, the left-wing bias had become too obnoxious. It's way too bad. Sanger is an example of how the left is mom turns on someone. Many such cases, I'm afraid. Many such cases. Ah, brother, it's a fucking disaster. Not cracking. Every way if it did. But it's not cracking. Shameful display. This is what happens every single time. Because if you're an editor on Wikipedia, you have power. Sure, I agree, it's not a lot of power. But you have power. Because you can change information, and in theory, you can change the perception of reality that some people have. These insane lunatics love to do that, that's why they keep going into these places. They love power, they love control, and they will abuse it against you. Oh, it's not happening, sure thing, pal. Sure thing. But let us talk about the weather a little bit, shall we? Yeah, let's talk about the weather. Oh my goodness, this heat wave in Europe is just being fucking brutal. I'm fine. I've been fine for now. That's the joys of living in my own pocket dimension. But it's not flawless. So things may get worse soon, which is not ideal. So, what about Europe? Ah, but these fools don't have AC. These are poor, stupid Europeans. Well, I will say that some people are like that, for sure. I will say that traditionally AC units are considerably expensive in comparison to the US, funny enough. And sometimes there are worse things happening that are outside of your control. This is through socialism. In France, in Camp La Planète, it's a primary school in Nemes, in southern France. China recently faded because of the heat, 40 degrees, which is 105 Fahrenheit, I believe. Classes were being taught in corridors to get out of the heat. The parents got together to raise money for 5 portable air conditioning units. It took them only 3 days to raise the 2,000 euros. They installed the units. Great, you think? Not according to the current municipal team in Nemes. I'm gonna say it like that. I know it's wrong, but still. After a coalition led by communist mayor Vincent Baguette. We guys has told the school to remove the units because it sets a precedent, and in some neighborhoods, parents don't have the means to act. Yes, you read that correctly. He's objecting on the grounds that it is unfair to other schools and causes inequality. This is the end goal of communism. Everybody has to be the same. But since you cannot elevate the poor people, the weak people, the bad people, you have to go to the lowest commonalities. Since somebody might not be able to get AC units, nobody can get them. Fucking beautiful. Now you might understand a little bit better why I hate France. Exactly, socialism means everyone suffers equally. Except of course, with the leaders. I mean, they're more equal than everybody else, so you have to understand that it's normal. Socialists can never build everybody up to the same level, so they're left having to tear down the high achievers. But it's true. Which is something that I need to find curious a little bit. Somewhat surprising. Oh, I see. Somewhat surprising they're still in school, in my opinion, because it's already summer. But I guess it's 8 weeks in France. So it officially starts on July 4th, and they go back September 1st. So they're finishing the classes, close to finish. I see. Well. Now we're coming to the point of, yeah, the government said no. You will die from the heat because of the government. Well, that's not fair. Welcome. Welcome to EU Commie Edition. There's more. There's always more. France bans drinking alcohol in public to counter brutal heat wave. Imagine the situation. It's hot as fuck, and you're like, you know what? I'm gonna go out with my pals. We're gonna have a refreshing cold beer. Why? Because we can. You're gonna go close to the beach, maybe, if you can. Nice place, a little bit of shade, some trees. You're there with shorts and nice shirt. Looking good. But the government said no. The fuck do you mean no? Well, I think it's a little bit strange they're banning drink alcohol in public. I don't think this has anything to do with the brutal heat wave. I think this has to do with something else. The new French people, if you wish. France grew its teeth Monday for a week of record basting temperatures, sheltering a heat wave combining daytime highs of above 105 degrees Fahrenheit and sleep-robbing sweaty nights. The National Weather Service, Mid-France, said most of the country, the largest in the European Union, is entering unrelenting conditions that aren't forecast to ease before Friday. Mid-France called the heat wave exceptionally intense, similar to the August 2003. Oh yeah, that was a good one too, I remember that one. Heat wave, but with a still uncertain duration. France introduced a heat watch warning system after that heat wave. And the highest temperatures in over half a century caused an estimated 15,000 deaths. Many older people in apartments and retirement homes without air conditioning. Oh, brother. I don't think I would do that. And just because of health, not because of water, but still. Europe is the world's fastest warming continent, with temperatures increasing at twice the speed as the global average since the 80s. According to the European Union's Copernicus Climate Change Service. Fucking useless! If this is true, and I'm gonna believe this is true because you're telling me so, then the anti-climate change measures are useless and they don't work. Because you see way worse stuff coming from India and China. Insane pollution there, especially in India and China. And it's only affecting us? Yeah, fuck that. Fuck that. It's not working. It's clearly not working. It's clearly not even having a positive effect. Here, of all places. So why bother? Why even fucking bother? If anything, you're telling me the opposite. Europe, which is the continent, different sea world, with the least amount of contamination and the most amount of green energies, is getting hotter the fastest. Well, it seems like a bad idea then. Something is really not working. Jeez, man, I wonder why. Human-caused climate change starts increasing extreme weather. A new climate agency projection say the next 5 years should shatter more heat records. We're actually going to in ASH, by the way. Country with little air conditioning shelters. Multiple times in Western and Central France experienced their hottest night ever Sunday to Monday, Mid-France said. France back through its hottest night for June, not getting below 75.5 Fahrenheit. The French capital broke another June record with 99.9 Fahrenheit recorded Monday afternoon. I will say, I'm not sure about France, but I will say, many times you will see, but it's never been this hot before, my goodness, this is impossible. You're lying. You're lying, because I know we have lived through hotter summers anyway. So shut the fuck up and just buy the goddamn fucking AC. You filthy lunatic. Not saying this is whatever heat wave. It's a harsh heat wave for sure. But you don't have to live this way. The weather service warned and of even hotter nights. This will continue through the end of the week, with heat levels never before recorded across more than 3/4 of the country on Wednesday and Thursday. Did you know they actually raise weather records in countries? Sometimes they didn't even go further back than the 80s. I've seen this happening. That's funny. The heat wave worsened air quality in Paris as it caused the formation of ozone transvolution. Well, fucking well. That doesn't happen in China. That doesn't happen in India. Good fucking job then. The Air Quality Monitoring Agency in the Paris region said pollutants were likely to exceed the recommended threshold. I don't fucking care about your recommendations. In countries without widespread air conditioning, people try to adapt. Education Minister Edouard Geoffrey said 1,352 schools were closed on Monday due to the heat, while several thousand adjusted their schedules, with students released earlier and classes relocated in air-conditioned rooms. Party is cooling off under a mist spray at the Fête de la Musique Street Festival in Bordeaux, June 21st, 2026. Hey, they're drinking! What the hell? Deaths are reported in rivers and the port car. Growing south of France, spreading on Monday to more than half its regions, was under a red alert for heat, with temperatures forecast to suffer highs past 104 Fahrenheit, and also dropping below 68 Fahrenheit. Well, now 68. Before it was 75.5. Oh, are you lying to me? Are you lying to me? 68 Fahrenheit is not that bad. Come on. 68 Fahrenheit night. Yeah, that's fucking normal. How much is that? 20 something? $20. Oh my god, 20. Oh, 20. 75.5. That's 24. Oh my god, I'm dying. It's not going below 24 degrees. I hate having to be that guy, but I have to be honest. The Americans are right. You're lame and gay. You're just bitching about pretty much fucking nothing. 40 is really hot. Nights of 20 is fine. It's normal. It's summer. What the fuck did you expect? The guys in the Burst Report Network urge communities to hydrate. Medical specialists warned of the potentially deadly combination of drinking alcohol and extreme heat. Authorities crack down on alcohol consumption in public. Jeez, I wonder why. That will also upset our Muslim friends. Multiple trends were reported as people sought relief in rivers, despite warnings about currents and other dangers. Fucking idiots. But this image has to be a fucking lie. Man cooling down at an emergency heat wave relief center in Bordeaux, June 22nd, 2026. James. Woody. You had too many layers here, pal. I don't think it has anything to do with the heat. But okay. The children, aged 2 and 4, were found dead on Monday in their family's garden in the parking lot in the southern town of Carpentras, French media reported, according to the public prosecutor's office. Shit, parents, what the fuck are you doing? Government messages warn parents not to leave children unattended in cars. That's normal, not just when thinking about the heat wave. Heat warning spread in Europe. In the UK, the weather office issued a red weather warning for Wednesday and Thursday. The temperatures will exceed 99 Fahrenheit in the shade and could rise to 104 in parts of England and Wales. That's too hot for these people. More than 28 degrees and these people are sweating. This is way too bad. The Met Office said extreme temperatures could cause heat-sensitive equipment to fail, including power and mobile phone services. Over the last 4 years, more than 200,000 people across Europe died from heat-related causes, and more than those were preventable, the World Health Organization's Europe office said this month. Above average temperatures can cause heat exhaustion, life-threatening head strokes. Cannot bitch anymore about gun deaths in the US. Cannot bitch anymore about those, I'm afraid. On top of that, okay, what about the UK? Sure, things are bad, but it wouldn't be that bad, right? Oh, brother. Oh, brother, you haven't seen anything yet. From GB News, Britain's road to remove air conditioning from homes in 40 degrees heat under net zero crackdown. Net zero means you will have to die for their fucking green laws. It's not even an exaggeration. You will have to die because you produce CO2. And there's nothing you can do about it. Britons having ordered to remove air conditioning from their homes, despite the country baking up to 40 degrees heat this week. And the fresh net zero crackdown. Boiling officials and council have told residents to take down their cooling units over concerns about carbon dioxide emissions. Ah, these people are fucking retarded. There's no other way of putting it. I'm sick of this. I'm sick of this. I'm sick of the climate panic. Oh, but the CO2. Oh, the CO2 is so evil. Hello? There we go. It's so evil! Are you fucking stupid or what? This is not understanding normal elementary school science. You need to plant more plants. You need more greenery. Put more trees. It's fine. You know why? They love CO2 and they produce oxygen. Whoa, are you sure about that? Yeah. I'm pretty sure about that. I do have some trees. And I asked them. They told me so. You also get some shade. You also could potentially get some fruits, which... whatever. But it also helps reduce heat. They just want to kill you. At this point, they just want to kill you, and they're just using climate and the heat is a weapon against you. Is this the flame tongue? I guess it is. They say despite the heat, it should serve only as a last resort. Pal, 40 degrees in the UK. Don't you think that's a last resort already? The crackdown comes from building regulations which demand active cooling is used only after all passive cooling methods, like opening windows or running fans, are being exhausted. It's my home. I cool it how I wish. Also, sometimes opening windows might be a detriment. Depends on where you live. Because you could get, sure, wind, hot wind, which makes things worse. The tourists have accused the government of living breathing in the dark ages through net zero policies, which prevent citizens from accessing modern conveniences that are completely normal in other countries. 100% correct. When I mention they are just trying to push for a new type of feudalism, this is what I mean. It's literally happening. You can call me crazy if you want, but you cannot call me wrong. Because I know I'm correct. The guidance says planning consent is not needed for air conditioning in most circumstances. But permission becomes mandatory in specific scenarios, including properties in conservation areas, with separate regulations applying to flats, leasehold properties, and shared buildings. This creates situations where units are feared believing they comply with rules only for council enforcement teams to have demand the removal. You don't have to live like this. Nobody should have to live like this. See what I mean? This is worse than China. It's not even hyperbolic. This is literally worse than China. What are you doing? Do we ask them about government housing for asylum seekers? Or I think we don't, but still. While landowners received orders to permanently remove two cooling units from the rear of their property, the Telegraph revealed. Camden Council planning inspectors determined there was no justification for the equipment, ruling it breached the authority's cooling hierarchy policy. The justification is, it's my fucking home, and I want to have AC. What about that? Things are only gonna get worse from this, okay? Unless you crack down on these insane lunatics from the government, they're only gonna feel emboldened. During appeal, the homeowner was advised to open windows and balcony doors and the first floor flat to achieve ventilation by natural means. There's no fucking wind. Usually, when you have these heat waves, it's because there's no fucking wind. So you open the doors and the windows, and what do you get? Either more heat or just solar beams directly inside of your home, which is obviously worse. We are surrounded by fucking animals. The worst part, they are in the governments. When the residents raised security concerns in the crime-addled capital, inspectors dismissed this, arguing the risk was not as great as those associated with ground floor windows, and suggesting windows could remain closed overnight. Okay, alright. We have come to the point where the UK government is telling you you cannot have AC in your home, even if you bought it, because we said so. You have to open the windows, and you have to open the doors, to try and cool your home. And if somebody comes into your home and stabs you, somebody comes into your home and robs you, and somebody comes into your home and rapes you, that's fair. That's a small price to pay for salvation. Salvation being new feudalism. Salvation being, oh, but my green policies. Salvation being people being completely downtrodden instead of rising up against the government. It's fucking brutal, dude. Canada inspectors specifically noted the absence of ceiling fans in the property, though this was never a stated requirement. Even after determining units were neither intrusive nor harmful to the neighborhood's character, officials still demanded they were scrapped. If that happened to me, I would end up in jail. Not because of the AC, though. If I speak anymore, I would be in trouble. The homeowner ultimately won an appeal to the planning inspectorate by proving their property already featured environmental improvements like solar panels. You have to actually negotiate with the government. See, I keep having AC because I'm a good enough boy, and I added solar panels. Planets? Close. Why? Others are at the greatest risk of enforcement action. The Capital's Bureau Councils have incorporated the rules derived from Sadiq Khan's London Plan into their local planning framework. And this is how Sadiq Khan looks nowadays. And this is what happens when you're an evil politician. The soul's being sucked from your existence. The hair too, apparently. The Mayor's 2021 strategy notes that new development in London should also be designed to avoid the need for energy-intensive air conditioning systems as much as possible. Yes, but life doesn't work that way. Canada's local plan plays to actively discourage the use of air conditioning Overconsumption raises demand for energy and warms the local microclimate. Warms the local microclimate. Oh, these fucking animals. No, it fucking doesn't! That's not how it works! Air conditioning, what it does, it's moving the heat from inside to outside. Oh, but that increases the temperature. It's just energy. You are not destroying the energy, but you are not also increasing the energy. You are putting it elsewhere. So stupid. So stupid. Also, demand for energy. I'm gonna do it. This time I'm gonna do it. The fact that you mean demand for energy. It's something you have to fix. You should have surpluses of energy. Because that's the only way to actually progress your country. To have a lot of energy. So you can do more things. Something gassing also restricts cooling systems. On environmental grounds, they must only be considered as a last resort. Its local policies go above and beyond national building regulations, which merely prioritize passive cooling measures and window shading before AC. Shut the hell up, dude. Shadow Energy Secretary Claire Coutinho. Shadow Energy Secretary. If you didn't think these people were evil, just look at the titles. Steadily bunkers for cancelled bureaucrats to block people from installing air conditioning because it uses too much energy. It's not that bad either. Exactly why we must repeal demand building regulations that force councils to care more about box ticking and process and letting people keep their homes cool in the summer. We had to get out of this miserable net zero mindset which says the breathing along has to stay stuck in the dark ages and can't enjoy the modern conveniences that are completely normal in other countries. That's because it's a fucking Western country. Since it's a Western country, it must be evil. So it must atone for every single sin committed by humankind. Despite the pollution coming from India and China. But that's because Westerners just put the companies there. So still the Westerners' fault. Fault. Even if that's the case, having green measures in the West, it's not helpful if the pollution doesn't come from here. And that's assuming the pollution is actually bad for the environment, by the way. Which I don't think it is. Less polluted continent. The ones getting the hottest. Yeah, no, I don't think you're making the point you think you're making. I think pollution is actually based. Estimated the case roughly 3% of British homes have air conditioning compared to 90% in America. The Climate Change Committee has acknowledged the need for cooling systems in care homes, schools and hospitals as temperatures increase, appearing to contradict official government policy. Would you rather die because the government said you shouldn't have an AC? I don't think I would. But I'm not English, so I don't know. Labour failed to ban building regulations last week, simply reflected the government's commitment to improving energy efficiency. Yes, that's the fucking problem. Improving energy efficiency is not useful if you have to sacrifice literally everything else. Do you want energy efficiency? Build fucking nuclear! What are you waiting for? Worse than Germany, holy shit. The government spokesperson said, air conditioning units are not banned. You cannot just use it. They can be installed in both existing new homes, and we can expect council to take a common sense approach to the rules around this. You're there to manage the interests of communities and the environment. County Council spokesman said, residents seeking planning permission need to demonstrate that alternatives, more climate-friendly measures are not suitable, and that units will not create noise or other harmful impacts on neighborhoods. It's not they're not suitable, it's they're not fucking enough, man. That's the problem. Having a fan is okay, it's fine for most of the year, but if you're getting constant heat waves right now of 40 fucking degrees, the fuck is not gonna save your life. You need to actually see. What are you waiting for? What's wrong with you? Absolutely fucking horrible. Enforcement action in these cases rare and needs only as a last resort where this guidance has not been followed. Shut the hell up! The case that you have this enforcement action is already bad enough. Meanwhile, spokesman for for the London mayor, said the policies kept. Give him cooler without relying on energy-intensive solutions. It doesn't fucking work! It's 40 degrees, what do you mean? The local planning stations are the responsibility of the brewers. They have their own policies in place. You cannot hate the government enough. It's fucking impossible. We'll be asked not to use our ovens or try it in arrows next. Go to war hungry, messy and crumpled. I mean, that increases heat, so that's bad. When will this net zero craze finally fizzle out? Every count that one, subsidies are scrapped, and green banking, like green shares, take a nosedive. Common sense will prevail once more, and then it will become clear that the man-made climate does as it pleases. Even without human intervention, which is completely true. Buying air cog in their council offices? I mean, come on, that's never gonna happen. The European Commission literally shut off air conditioning, but only for floors 1 to 7. Where people of lower rank work. They're barely human. Barely human. The European Commission's headquarters was forced to shut down its air conditioning system on Friday due to the heat wave. Shut down air conditioning system due to the heat wave. How fucking stupid can you be? Just put a bullet in my brain at this rate. That will make sense at least. Staff working at the Parliament building received and texted at midday reading Earl, urgent. Due to extreme weather conditions, floor shut down fair cooling systems from floor 1 to 7 for the rest of the day. The 13th-story building is home to Commission President Ursula von der Leyen, her 26 commissioners and about 3,000 staff. Von der Leyen works on the 13th floor, and most of her commissioners will visit her house on floors 8 or above. She's old. I wonder if, you know, eventually. Yeah, but at least some people were forced to resign to the Austin files. I don't know about that one. This is even worse than what you think, allegedly. Britain forced to rely on EU to avoid power shortages during heat wave. Great operator bait Brussels to lift import limits. Other solar panels struggle in storing heat. Solar panels struggle in the heat. Good fucking job. Britain has been forced to urgently import more electricity from the EU to avoid power shortages during the record-breaking heatwave. The National Energy System Operator, NESO, which manages the grid, issued a rare emergency and power supply warning on Thursday after certain temperatures triggered a slump in solar energy, with panels struggling to work in the hot conditions. Don't you fucking say this fucking grid bullshit doesn't fucking work! The biggest enemy of solar panels, the sun. It's so stupid. It's so stupid. It's even worse than a Monty Python skit. It's fucking unbelievable. What is this mental retardation I have to see here, man? It was subsequently withdrawn after NASA secured emergency supplies from the continent on Wednesday. Health reporter and industry consultant said NASA had begged the EU to lift the import trading limits, which would have capped the amount of energy Britain could import. Ms. Porter said that the sudden easing of restrictions had allowed the UK to obtain 2.3 gigawatts of import versus 1.5 gigawatt limit introduced in May, helping Britain avoid power shortages. Isn't 2.3 gigawatts what you need to travel in time with the DeLorean? I think that is correct. She said listening to the restrictions was necessary because NASA didn't see the shortage coming. They don't see anything coming. They're useless. Britain secured the emergency supplies via the interconnectors linking the grid to those on the continent. The UK had been scheduled to export power, but was forced into an about permanent temperature conditions, which have hit 36 degrees. Hint and Devony, from energy consultancy Montel, said the situation had become sufficiently severe to overrule the trading limit. Heat waves usually coincide with higher demand. Oh jeez, fuck, I wonder why! But of course other markets, including the Netherlands, are similar situations to Great Britain today, so Dutch, Belgian, Danish interconnectors were all scheduled to export power on the day-ahead stage, said Mr. Devony. When NASA announced the limits, it told the market that it does not have concerns over electricity system security. This power supply warning was the first time the grid operator had issued such an alert during the summer months. Gas plants were urged to ramp up output to deal high levels of demand. The sums and officers turning up the air conditioning to endure the heat wave. Is everything related here? Is everything just literally the same case? What about, you know, what about no air conditioning? What about you get to die a little bit? As a treat. No, I'd rather not. Well, it's the UK. You didn't get to choose. United came soaring temperatures make Britain's solar farms less efficient, putting further strain on the power grid. Solar panel efficiency typically drops by 0.3 pc to 0.5 pc for every degree that the panel's temperature rises above 25 degrees. Let me Bob from Montel. Let them eat ice. Let them have shade and stuff. It's dire, man. It's fucking dire. This is thankfully just the UK. Also Canada, France. But holy shit, dude. You hate seeing this. Let me Bob from Montel said, higher demand for air conditioning and cooling systems contributing to the increase in power demand. A lower output from solar and gas generation means more conventional generation is required to meet demand, pushing up prices. If only there was a really good way to produce energy that works pretty much in any condition. It's actually really green, it's efficient, it's cheap, and it just fucking works. No, we gotta have nuclear. We gotta have fucking nuclear because the Cubs made a mistake many decades ago. Maybe they have a point. Maybe they are as useless as the people in Chernobyl. After all, who the fuck knows? Data from the UK's grid network showed gas generation jammed from around 8 gigawatts at 12 PM on Thursday to more than 17 gigawatts overnight. More than half of Britain's power needs were being supplied by gas and Wednesday morning, with wind generating around 12 pc and solar less than 10 pc. It's also kind of funny if we talk about green energies. Not only we have solar panels failing when it's really hot, which is hilarious to me, but you're gonna have the... how do they call those? They're not windmills, right? Because it's not an actual mill. Oh, the wind farms? When it's too windy. Because that's a security risk. When I was a kid, this technology was seen as experimental. It needs to improve a lot, and I think that is correct. It didn't happen. It didn't happen, but it's being pushed. Why? You also have something very, very funny. I don't find it really funny in a really bad way. The main struggle for green energies is being able to properly store the energy. That was being said already in the 90s and 2000s. You cannot store the energy yet. Nothing has changed, yet they keep pushing for more green stuff. If you laugh, you go to hell. Well, if you laugh, you might go to France, which allegedly worse at this point. Just because of the heat. You also get the stabbings. As a spokesman said, Britain's electricity system remains secure and reliable throughout today's exceptional weather. Using existing arrangements with neighboring system operators and their standard operational tools, investigations available to maintain system security. Also, hold up, this is the UK. The UK is famous for not having sun. Why are you basing your energy grid on solar? What? That seems like a bad idea. If it was waves and whatnot, sure, why not? I mean, it's an island, makes sense. No. Solar. In Britain? Okay, alright, whatever. The problem makes sense that you had to power the big cities, then it looks a little weak. I guess... I'm not against necessarily green energies, but they're not as good as they say. They will also try to mention that they're just innocuous, they're just fine. No, they're not. They also produce... in a different way, sure, but they also contaminate a shit ton. The blades of the wind farms, yeah, you cannot just recycle them. You had to burn them, which is not great. I'm not even talking about the birds. The solar farms have also similar problems. Not a great idea. Not a great idea. For some reason, which also pisses me off a lot, they're using farm fields, or at least fields that you could use for farming, for these farms, solar farms. Farming soil is somewhat limited in the planet. You can put those literally anywhere else, and it kinda works. Then again, if you get a lot of food, that might be trouble for the powers that be too. Where's my tinfoil? I might need it. Also pisses me off how they force you to put solar panels. That shouldn't be the case. Unless you're in government housing, but that's a different issue. Britain had been facing 1.9 gigawatt shortfall in its margin for Wednesday night. The buffer between available power generation and consumer demand, according to Ericsson, the company that manages the electricity trade that gave Britain's light on. They keep repeating the same shit all the time. Okay, alright. I'm going to skip a little bit. That's pissing me off a little bit. Meanwhile, parts of French energy have fallen by 40 PCE since Sunday. France has been forced to switch off a nuclear power station, as high river temperatures mean the water is too warm to safely cool reactors. Okay, alright. Okay, that's somewhat understandable. I bet they might use that to crack down on nuclear for other places. Ah, see, you cannot cool it. Well, I don't know, you can't even have solar when it's actually sunny out, so what is the fucking point? In warnings for consumers, energy market intelligence firm Montel said the decline in renewable efficiency had pushed up wholesale power prices. Prices climbed to £248.39 per megawatt hour the evening peak on Thursday, an increase of more than 25 PC compared with the same time a week earlier. That seems like a lot. That's what I mean. In rural areas, you can just slap the panels on the roof, but in the anthill cities, you have to cover the entire building in panels just to get anywhere near enough sun. Good luck, yeah. We'll also say that the efficiency has gone better with time for full solar. It's actually not that bad. But it was really strange. At some point, when you were actually getting taxed by some governments if you wanted to add the solar panels. But I think you were... how to say this? By law, you had to put them anyway. So that was very odd. I don't remember where the locations for those, but I remember that happening. I think that may have happened in some states in the US too. In 20 years. So my memory's a little bit hazy. I don't know. If I were to make a house, I would probably add some solar panel into it just because alternative methods of getting energy. I do agree with the, hey, maybe going off-grid is a good idea. I don't know how feasible it is, but I think it can be done. My parents had a couple of older friends. They were substantially older. I think both of them passed away. They lived in a somewhat rural area, and I don't believe they were self-sufficient. I don't remember the kind of energy they produce. I'm gonna say probably solar. And when they had surplus, sometimes they would sell it to the electrical company to get a little bit of money back, which is pretty nice. It's not so much as living in a bunker in the middle of nowhere, but it is nice. I think it's nice. I'm not just completely against green. I don't think it's really silly when you see also countries like Germany, they tell you, well, this project of just having green energy has failed. We were way better when we had nuclear. We made a big mistake. And people ask, okay, are you gonna fix it? No. The fuck do you mean no? That was weeks ago. It still lives rent-free in my mind. That's crazy. I need to blow up my nose. Give me a second here. But these Germans are so strict, it actually hurts. You know you made a mistake. Are you gonna fix it? No, okay, alright. You made your decision, I guess. Struggle and just die. Meanwhile, the boss of a British air conditioning company warned of a nationwide shortage as households ready for the scorching heat wave. Sugru, the chief executive of Miko, said sales of portable air conditioners have surged more than fourfold in May and June compared with the same period last year. To be fair, this year, at least in the UK, was rather hot from what I'm seeing. I know, it's funny. Heat wave. They're gonna die, heat wave. 25 degrees. The fact that you mean 25 degrees, that's nothing. 25 degrees was about 75 Fahrenheit for the Americans. A little bit over 75, but still. Yeah, no, it's not a heat wave. Come on. But the current heat wave is actually pretty bad. I agree to that. It's really funny if you see the maps. It's just white. It's just white. Completely carbonized. They have completely destroyed most of France and part of the UK. He said that availability is an issue, but it has been an issue across the industry, providing 50 PC more and launch a new range of hair guns, but still not enough. You can have sold twice that. It's also reported a 330 PC increase in air conditioning sales over the weekend compared with last weekend, while the fan sales ballooned by 2,856 PC. I'm not quite sure what they mean by PC here. They've been using it for literally everything. It's a little bit confusing. Gas, which installs air conditioning systems, said they had seen an increase in demand of more than 2,000 PC over the same period, while Price Runner, a press-in-person website owned by Klarna, we read about these guys before, said interesting air conditioners can 25-fold. I'm starting to regret not buying new cooling, but it was somewhat on the cheaper side a couple of weeks ago. A bit the death of me. It's fine. I will survive. I know we'll survive, but more so for when we stream here. It gets really hot, obviously. What else do we have here? I guess we have more stupid stuff about UK government, which... Okay, sure, why not? This is from the Jimmy Clarkson Farm Show on Amazon. It's the most ridiculous piece of mainstream media I've ever seen. Just one example, bear with me. It's not that long, not an actual article. Badgers became a protected species in Britain 40 years ago. The population has exploded now, and now frequently transmits tuberculosis to cows. Obviously, a bad situation. But farmers can't kill the badger population to protect their cattle because the government still considers them to be endangered. Instead of addressing the root cause, the UK has the most batshit testing regime for cattle. There's no TB vaccine, so the cattle had to get the cattle had to get tested. The vet administering the test have to measure welts on the cow's neck. Whether the cow lives or dies comes down to the vet trying to discern 1 millimeter on a caliper, reactive versus non-reactive. If a cow tests positive, the farm, already running on super thin margins, despite what you may see there about, oh, but these farmers have so much money. No, they don't. No, they really don't. Quarantine and self-hemorrhaging money. Every class's cow, pregnant with twins, has an inconclusive test, so it's separated from the herd. It receives a second inconclusive test, so they have to kill it, before it can give birth to the twins. Now here's the kicker. The autopsy reveals no sign of TB. It was a healthy cow, needlessly killed. So, silver lining, the farm should be removed from quarantine, right? Wrong! It's still under quarantine and has to keep testing and can't sell its beef. KFKS doesn't even begin to describe how fucked up it is for British farmers. Every single time I see something coming from the government in the UK, I have to wonder, how is this possible? How is it possible that there's a country running like this? How is it possible? These people were a world power at some point. What the fuck happened? I guess the 40s happened, but still. Very odd. Very strange shit here happening, for sure. And it's also the same reason why they're gonna kill the fucking ponies. But you see, the best thing will not kill the ponies. The fuck do you mean kill the ponies? Kill them all. Okay, alright. The Prime Ministers just keep resigning, and nothing ever changes. We also have here from the UK, it's a little bit... It's even worse, but I think it's something we need to cover. Related to Henry Nowak. It's an excerpt from the conversation the cops were having. No, the police officers who handcuffed Henry Nowak took 8 minutes to realize he had been stabbed. Okay, I think I'm going to device this for male and female instead of having to read every single time who's speaking. I think that's probably the best way of doing things here. I'm not sure he's breathing. Chest reposing neck. He's not breathing. Right, let's get the handcuffs off. I don't know, he's not breathing. Yeah, picking up police radio. From 4-8, we don't think he's breathing. Could you get another unit here, please? Got no pulse. How long handcuffs? Medic or anything? IRB. Talking to the police radio. IRB Tupper says if you got them with the fib. Yeah, that wouldn't help, but they wouldn't know. So that doesn't really matter, I guess. The male officer removes handcuffs. He's not unconscious, mate. He's not breathing. Give these chance compressions. Come on, mate. That's it. That's it. Keep breathing. Come on. What's the replay now? Okay. Okay, alright. I understand this was back in December, so it was probably cold. There were many layers of clothing. Sure. I cannot believe you're doing chest compressions and you don't realize the kid was stabbed. He wasn't stabbed any long. You would see the blood. You would feel something wrong there for sure. This feels really strange. Now, keep going. Come on, mate. Stay with us. That's it, mate. Come on. That's it. Come on. Take a breath. Just chest compression. That's it, bro. I got you. Come on. The woman talking already. Go ahead. Thank you. Do you want to swap? No, I'm right. Sure? Come on, mate. Come on. That's it. That's it. I'm pretty sure at this point the kid was pretty much already dead or just completely unconscious with no possibility of resuscitation. Can you put a torch? I'm just gonna make sure that he hasn't been stabbed. Are you right to hold it? Thank you. Oh, another female. Female officer too walks into view. Do you want me to do it? Here you are. Cheers, mate. First torch to female police officer. Right, they're gonna want him down to skin level for the fib. Second female officer. I got some. Oh, scars are here. I'm not quite sure what scars means here. Let's see here. Scars. Let's see. South Central Ambulance Service. Okay, that makes sense. Have you got scissors? Get some scissors. The guy continues to compressions. Come on, mate. He's fucking gone. He's got blood coming out his nose. He's fucking gone. Yeah. Blood coming out of his nose. That makes sense because the lung was probably just filled with blood at that point. I don't think the chest compressions were helping, but we understand the guy couldn't be saved. It's just that they didn't try properly. Right, you stretch the clothing for me. Stretch it out. Perfect. It's a gesture / cutting of clothing. And there's a lot of blood. Was he being stabbed there? Yeah, he's got a stab. There's a mark there. He was stabbed. He told you he had been stabbed, and you didn't do anything until the kid was at death's door. My goodness. It makes it worse. He's got a stab. I'm pushing a fucking stab wound. Some of clothing being ripped. Yeah? Yeah. I wonder if the chest compressions were actually worse. They probably were. You would need a pump. Like, an item pump to actually get that blood out. That's okay, it's fine. It's not coming out. It's fine, keep going, keep going. It's not bleeding out. Yeah, I don't know about that one. Male officer continues chest compressions. At this point, the paramedic arrives and takes over. The transcript ends at 23:46. The walk was pronounced dead at the scene at 00:37. He told him he'd been stabbed. You think when he lost consciousness, didn't seem he'd been stabbed. The male police officer needs to be in prison. That's malicious incompetence, in my opinion. No other way of saying it. Malicious incompetence here. Police officers and the police chief who tried to cover this up need to be sacked and face criminal charges. That's absolutely fucking bonkers, dude. That's absolutely fucking bonkers, but as we've seen before, you know, but my diversity stuff. And this is actually the result of diversity training. You see, you cannot assume people from outside are criminals. Okay, I don't know, somebody being potentially punched and the turban being ripped off. Yeah, I think that accusation just pales in comparison to being stabbed several times. I'm gonna be honest. Truly disgusting. But with a little bit of luck, maybe they can do something about it with disinformation, which I don't know how legality works in the UK for that, but maybe potentially, you know? I'm just throwing my hands to the air in that regard. Still speaking of the UK, something that's somewhat related to this, because something we have mentioned several times before, and the UK apparently has some sort of special police unit for these racially charged cases, trying to convince the parents to not fan the flames of racism. Apparently it's real, and we have confirmation of this. From the Daily Skeptic, I think Count Dankula made a video about this. I haven't watched it. I'm pretty sure it's the same case though. Police turned down a statement of mother whose daughter was murdered by a asylum seeker to prevent race riots. Well, you're gonna get riots, you want it or not. Maybe the race riots, maybe riots against the government. Police guided, by the way, the woman mother of Ryan White, stabbed 23 times by a Sudanese asylum seeker in October 2024. They said in her public statements, "Fearing the truth might provoke social unrest." Siobhan White says officers told her they didn't want another Southport and has since accused the Prime Minister of having blood on his hands. The Mail has the story. Okay, this is just a big quote here, which makes sense. Police gathered the family of a hotel worker in turning down their public statements as if she was murdered by an asylum seeker, in case their words led to anti-immigration rioting. In theory, they can get you in jail if you do comply with this. That's the theory. Rhiannon White, 27, was stabbed 23 times with a screwdriver by a Sudanese national, Deg Majek, while waiting at the train station in October 2024. Majek, 28, who was sentenced to 29 years in prison in January. I don't want this man to be 29 years in prison. Introduce Anakin meme face. They spent the night dancing and drinking in the car park of Park Inn Hotel in Bescott, Walsall, where Rhiannon worked. But that came 3 months after the fatal stabbings of 3 young girls in Southport by 17-year-old Axel Rudakabana, a British citizen of random descent. They had to mention all the time. Oh, but he was a British guy. Okay, hold up. Citizen or ethnic? Because it's not the same. Anti-migrant riots broke out following misinformation which was circulated online claiming that Rudakabana was a Muslim asylum seeker who had recently arrived in Britain on a small boat. I don't know which one is worse here, if I'm being honest. If you keep importing immigrants, they just break the law all the time, that's bad. But if you import people from outside, and generations after the fact, they keep committing the same crimes while not being properly... how do we say this? While not adapting properly to the culture, something is not working, clearly, and that's it. Something is not working, and you're not gonna fix it by doing the same things. They're causing this. Anti-migrant riots broke out following misinformation, yada yada. Now Rhiannon's mother, Sue Bay, has claimed police said they didn't want another Southport when she told them her daughter's life support was to be turned off. Oh, okay, so the case is old, but this article is new, because she was on life support for a couple of years. So I guess there's no real chance of resuscitation here. Okay, alright, I can see it. She said, "Did he tell us what to say? No. Did he get us so he didn't look so aggressive? Maybe. I was aggressive. Did he turn it down?" Miss White, who stressed that she is grateful for the help she received from the police in the aftermath of her daughter's murder, added, "I think they didn't want violence. They wanted a riot." Maybe they need a riot. Doesn't matter what you want. Following revelations in last week's Mail on Sunday about how the government's Secretive Research Information Communications Unit tries to mention the challenges of multiculturalism by manipulating public mood following murders or terrorist incidents with a racial element. You cannot have a multicultural society. It doesn't matter what you do, you cannot have a multicultural society. Because if you have multiple cultures, that means you have multiple sets of values. And they may or may not be representative of the laws of the land. In this case, the cultures from outside take precedent than the culture from the inside. And it's an experiment that's gonna blow up in your face. Because you're gonna have multiple sets of rules working at the same time when these sets of rules are contradictory. Which is exactly what's happening in the West. Especially in the UK, but we can also see it in other unsavory places like France, for example, or even Germany. But they will tell you, but diversity is so important, are we sure? And do you have a source for that one? I don't think so. Rihanna's family told police they were turning up her life support after brutally removed migrants from the parking hotel where Majay had been living, and where Rihanna was understaffed. Ms. White added, "Those migrants were out within 2 hours. I think that's because the police feared violence." The police may be a little bit too active for their own good, I'm afraid. It was only after Majay was sentenced that Miss White mentioned the fact that he had arrived in the UK on a small boat 3 months before the attack, and criticized your curious armor. She said the Prime Minister got blood on his hands. Which is absolutely correct. I wonder what threats are the biggest push on these poor people to make them toe the line. Probably threatened to arrest them for hate speech, citing this can only as example. 100%. 100% convinced that's the case. But I'm sorry, if you cannot call a spade, if you cannot call the criminals what they are, you have a big problem, and you're not gonna fix it. Not like this. I guess we can move to a different case. It's still infuriating, but something different. What about this one? Burns charged with murder. Authorities say son weighed 255 pounds when he died at 7. I'm an adult. I would say I'm kinda big. I've never been close to 255 pounds. That's crazy. Update. 12:15 PM. PT. Casper O'Brien, the 7-year-old who died weighing 255 pounds, was with the diet of French fries and chips. This according to prosecutors who charged his parents with murder. 2 parents from Flint Township, Michigan, have been charged with murder for allegedly neglecting their 7-year-old son. The prosecutors say he was shockingly obese at the time of his death. Damon O'Brien and Jessica O'Brien have been charged with second-degree murder, child abuse, and torture of their son Casper, died weighing 255 pounds, according to the New York Post. 7-year-old Casper was 4 feet 2 inches tall, and the CDC says a healthy weight for him should have been between 50 and 73 pounds. Yeah, that probably makes more sense. I don't want to even imagine how big this kid was. Rotund, for sure. Cops say they were alerted to Casper's situation when a 911 call was made on November 4th, 2025, for a child in distress. Casper was reportedly rushed to the hospital, where he died from dilated cardiomyopathy, with the contributing cause being morbid obesity. The parents kinda look as you might expect. Genesee County Prosecutor David Layton spoke to the local outlet WJRT. I don't know what this is. Saying this case is about cruel and extreme suffering from this child caused by the neglect of the parents. I keep shouting into the depths of the abyss. If you're gonna be a shit parent, just don't have kids. That's gonna be for the best. For both you, the kids, me, society, the world, laughter, so on and so forth. The O'Briens, who also have a 5-year-old daughter, allegedly never enrolled Casper in school. Layton says these kids have essentially never existed in the eyes of the government. The parents are due to appear in court July 2nd. That's not great. Not great at all. I don't like when kids die, okay? Imagine my shock. We also have another strange case, which it is somewhat hilarious because of the implications. This is by the song. Vile abuse. Migrant 19. Admits sexually abusing animals and tries to justify a sick act by claiming he did it to avoid raping a woman. This is the people you're importing into France, by the way. 19-year-old man who was sexually abused half a dozen animals, including a 6-month-old lamb, has been jailed in France. I don't want this guy to be in jail. Anakin face meme. Said S, a yapping migrant, was arrested after being caught in the act behind the goat with his trusted dog and wearing latex gloves. He faced charges of sexual assault and serious abuse of animals, including a goat that died from their injuries. It took only an hour of deliberation before he was sentenced to 30 months in jail at Engen Province Courthouse on Monday. 30 months in jail! 30 months in jail. Then you say something maybe spicing the internet, you get more. I bet. The sick abuse took place throughout February and April at the indicational farm in Penay-Mirabeau, near Moselle, the court heard. He sent to Rutena, the owner of the animal sanctuary, which, if it's French, is probably said in a different way, but sounds Italian to me, so who knows. The number began in February when a vet noticed marks on some of the animals. The legs appeared to have been tied with rope, and many had suffered injuries to their genitals. According to the French outlet, 20 minutes. The owners installed cameras in the enclosures in an attempt to catch the perpetrator. Footage reportedly captured the man carrying out violent sex acts on animals several times. Spermatozo's DNA being found on the animals and his phone being traced near the farm on several occasions, he denied the charges. I don't know how to explain it, he told the court. On the night of his arrest, he claimed he had missed his train to Marseille, where he stays in an asylum seeker center. The memes! The DNA of the soul! I'm gonna fucking explode here, man. He said the farm was close to the center and he had nowhere else to stay. I'm a normal person, Masoud told the court. No, you're not. No, you're not. If this is being normal, I don't want to be normal either. The defendant arrived in France in November 2025 and said his family had died in a bombing in Afghanistan during the war. I'm gonna be honest, I don't fucking care. I don't fucking care. Even if that's the case, there are so many other countries you could go to if you are truly an asylum seeker. But you didn't. You went to France. I wonder why. Maybe because they promise you a great life, get the fuck out of here. Don't want you people in Europe. A psychiatric evaluation conducted during his pre-trial detention, noting an absence of mental disorder. Wow, it's just culture! Imagine that. During the test, Masoud reportedly told the doctor, they're making a huge fuss about it when they're just animals. I could say the same thing, but I would get banned because the countries would be different. He justified his actions by stating that he had done it to avoid raping a woman, like he said to reports. That's not an excuse. You're making things worse for yourself. If the world was just, he wouldn't be around us anymore. As well as being sentenced to 30 months in prison, he was banned from French territory and registered in the file of perpetrators of sexual offenses. Jeez, I wonder what other European country this guy might end up in. Germany? Italy, perhaps? Maybe the UK? Who knows? Maybe even Spain. Those are close by. It could happen. Then told the courts, we created this association to the good, and the animals were endangered within our own facility. We can't explain it morally. You can, but you're cucked. That's the problem. The owners of the farm launched an online fundraiser to cover veterinary and legal expenses, which has received more than £1,300 in donations, which is... okay, it's fine, it's nice. But 250 abandoned or mistreated animals, including horses, cows, lemons, sheep and goats, are housed at the sanctuary. There have never been the allegations, okay? Literal goat fucking. Biblically accurate. They cannot complain about this. Not anymore. Very funny. Very funny. What do we have here? Okay, we should be ending soon. My throat is starting to give out. Not so much of the sore, I think it's healing well, but we've been yapping for almost 3 hours straight. So that's why. So we can go to a couple of short things, and then do a little bit of a slop at the end. Some sort of decompression white peel. Not everything in France is bad, okay? We have this thing, pissed me off a lot. Ticks can be as small as a poppy seed. There are 5 ticks in this photo, can you spot them? They're more about protecting yourself from ticks when joining your national force on grasslands. I don't think it will. Fuck them ticks. Fuck them. I guess you can kinda see the legs. Some people are saying, oh, it's fine, it's not going to kill you. You can just digest those. Even the bacteria they come in. That's not the problem. They're bugs. You know what happens with bugs? If you're allergic to seafood, you're allergic to bugs. It's probably gonna kill you. If you're not careful. That's the main issue. What else do we have here? Oh, that's a bunch of slappa. I guess we have another. Oh, this is different. This is different. This is not what I was expecting. Ah, this is pretty cool. This is pretty cool. I think we all should try to aim to be the 13-year-old girl, for sure. Breaking! A 13-year-old girl is being praised as a hero after she defended her mom from an abusive man, slicing him in the face with a samurai sword in Tennessee. My goodness. The teenager was in her bathroom when she heard her mother screaming for help. When she rushed out, she says her mother's ex-boyfriend was shocking her. The young girl said, I guess, she grabbed the decorative sword off the wall and intended to stop the attack. Neighbors report the ex-boyfriend lunged toward the teen, and she swung the sword, slicing his face so severely he had to be airlifted to the hospital for treatment of his injuries. My goodness! The spirit of the samurai lives well alive in the Americans. His mother says she has always taught her daughter to protect herself and the people she loves. What a badass! That's cool as fuck, though. My goodness, it's crazy. That's the kind of shit I mean when you say I want to have the ability to carry a sword. Oh, but they're so dangerous, yeah. But not for me. That's the whole point. Maybe not the whole point, but big part of the point for sure. And let us finish for today with France can be cool, okay? French townhouse, medieval weapon and armor duels in MMA cages. That sounds cool as fuck. The problem is usually this is not the kind of cool shit we see from France. It's everything else. Usually just the bad shit, okay? A French town held a combat event that saw duels between fully armored fighters with medieval weaponry. At Le Château, in the Aveyron region of France, is a town that features no less than 25 medieval castles, with a history dating back to the Middle Ages. The town held a sporting event they called Behord. The term is the old French word that describes a recreational activity practiced by men in the Middle Ages. According to Clement Corsac, president of the club in which the event was held, through history and combat the sportsmith, said the medieval combat event. The cat itself, till the Knights of the Cage, began with weightings. Fighters were divided into weight classes. Then they put in the armor and helmets, which would weigh up to 13 pounds, about 6 kilograms. Fighters were given full armor along with swords and axes. 20 fights took place, with the fighters being both men and women, from all over Europe. On top of the weapon-based combat, the fights also saw wrestling, round work, hand-to-hand combat, and leg kicks. Okay, can I mute this? I guess I can't. Okay, I'm not risking it. I'm not risking the music. They're fighting. Ah, hold up. I can just mute the tab. And that works. Bird is the way. That's written differently. I gonna look at them. Fuck them all. Punching with the buckler. That's kind of funny to me. That's the cage. That's pretty cool. Becoming a horde fighter is not cheap. Croissant, speaking to France 24. The full cage costs between 3,000 and 4,000 euros. That's a lot of money. That's actually a lot of money. For more sports, check out the coverage of the Brazil fans avoiding rocket course and this year's World Cup, or the Norway soccer fans who took a tongue of their own food to the US. Oh yeah, I saw that. That's kinda cool. That's kinda cool. Can you be more of this type of French? And less of the cacked type of French? That'd be nice. That's the kind of French I want to see. I think it makes sense. I think it makes sense for a lot of people. But then again, what do I know? Ah, you're so obnoxious. There we go. Ah, Le France. Le France. Yep. I'm dying. I'm dying. My throat is completely giving out here. Let me know. I tried my best. So what is the plan for next week? I've been thinking some stuff for Thursday. I think we might do some Super Mario fan games. We've mix a bit of fun games and ROM hacks. But still, I don't think I can find the the game I played back when I was a kid in computer class back in elementary school. But I will mention it for sure. I didn't know too much what the. I didn't want to go into deep research for anime games or anything like that. So there's that. I think in a couple of weeks we might have 3 games running at the same time again. I want to have both Wednesday and Thursday to be shorter. I only want a single long game for obvious reasons. And if it's Pokemon, it's fine, right? Because who really cares? People know Pokemon. People might try Pokemon anyway. Which seems like a good idea. And after that, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. We'll see how the weather comes, because let me tell you, it's not looking great at all. This next week is looking pretty scorching. Okay, alright. Yeah, temperature goes down. Down? I wish that was the case. It goes up already on Monday. We're gonna say some high 30s. That's not good. That's not good. I will do my best not to collapse. But yeah, aside from that, of course, more Pokemon Diamond on Monday. More Symphony of the Night on Wednesday, which I don't think we'll finish yet. I think it's gonna be a 3-parter at the minimum. Which is fine. So we might do some Mario games. I didn't get the list yet. I will prepare that between today and tomorrow for sure. But as usual, the schedule will be up later tomorrow with the thumbnails and whatnot on YouTube. And Saturday, yapping session here, articles, news stuff, whatever. And that's it. I think that's it. So I think that's gonna be everything for me today. So thank you all for coming. I hope you had some fun. I hope you don't feel too bothered by everything we talk about here on the Saturdays. Do your best. Never try to be like the British or the French, because it's not a good idea. It's never good. And we'll come back on Monday with more Pokemon Diamond. Guess can that be in French? We'll need to fight Fantina. I need to grind a little bit more. I have both Krogunk and Scroopy level 30. I should get them to level 32. Leveling up those things being a massive pain in the ass. They're not good. They're not good. They're good upon evolution. But that's late 30s to level 40. 37 and level 40. Not good. Not good, but I guess it could be worse. So until then, you know the rules. Trying to keep chill. Yeah, just temperature, but also mentally. And take care.